What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Season Gaming Bitcast, episode 146. I'm already smiling because before we even started, Dan and I were just going off about this Avengers nonsense, which we'll maybe try to recapitalize on later. I don't know if it's worth talking about, but anyway, it's going to be a great show regardless. We got a lot to talk about this week, and in the house as always, although he's delayed to 2069 apparently this week.
Yep.
Mr. Dan Rodriguez, what's going on?
That's my next show. That's assuming I'm alive in 48 years. And that would make me, I'm going to take the way under. That would be like 103 years old or so. So, no, that's not going to happen.
I don't think that math checks out, but I'll still take the
well, I mean, I'm 45. What is it, 48 years? Is that right? So what is that?
45 and 48 is definitely not 100 and whatever you just said, but that's
103. What the hell is the math? That's 148.
I think it's 93.
It's 93, boss.
It's 93. No, it's not. Is that? God damn it! This thing
4
sucks.
4 plus 4 is 8. The other two numbers.
Can you hear that? Can you guys hear that?
No, we're good. We're off and running.
Okay,
You'll be old. You'll be real old. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I'll be dead. There is zero chance I make it to that glorious year. I'll be lucky to make it to the 2030. That's at this rate. So
come on now. That's
what I'm shooting for. You gotta set your goals really low, people. I mean, I don't know why everybody's got these grand expectations. It's like, listen, I've had a really good life. I've done everything I wanted to do. I played Cyberpunk, which was one of the big, I mean,
at least that one nailed all expectations for you.
Yeah, that nailed everything. So, we're good. I mean, really nothing. I mean, Elder Scrolls 7 might be out by then. So
6 might be out by then. We'll see.
Maybe. We'll see.
Anyway, let's get moving on. Joining us this week, our guest, you know him as a Season Gaming senior contributor, Mr. Agitated Stove himself, Steve Esposito. What's happening?
Hey, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Yeah, we got to do this more often. So actually, for everyone listening later or watching live with us, what's going on, chat? Good to see everyone. Yeah, we're going to get more of the Season Gaming contributors with us more often. So expect to see Steve with some sort of regularity, get Carl on here, a few others that whoever wants to join, of course. But always a good time when the crew gets together. So, Steve, I was thinking that, you've been on with us a couple times before. We did the award show, obviously. But I just want to talk about your quick gaming history anyway, and your, go through your favorite kind of platform and or franchise. So hit us with it, man.
All right. So I started getting into gaming when I was like a kid, like everyone else does. You get introduced to it. For me, it was my uncle and my father. They both bought Sega Genesis.
Nice.
And, after having Nintendo, and it just took off from there. I had pretty much any system I could get my hands on. If I found something in like my house that we didn't use, I would try to sell it so I can get like a video game.
We've all been there, I think. Yeah.
Like all the shit that my dad had. I'm like, he doesn't need it. He won't miss it. And he never did. So it's great. But yeah, I mean, I played a lot of games. Some of my favorite franchises and consoles. The Sega Dreamcast is probably one of my favorites. Sega Genesis, of course, that's what's got me started.
Yeah.
And I mean, I haven't owned a system that I didn't like.
Okay.
So, but probably the most played Xbox 360. Once I'm looking back on that, I'm like, that was probably, I had the most fun on that one. The GameCube was great. I had a lot of friends go over for that one because no online play. You kind of had to play couch co-op.
Yeah. Well, it had a handle on the back. You could take it with you.
Yeah, like that. But like once the Xbox started doing the online. And I was playing Halo, which is still,
hell yeah.
Like, I'm fiending to play Halo Infinite. Like, I can't wait for it. I really can't.
No, I'm there with you.
And some of my favorite series has always been Sonic the Hedgehog.
Okay.
That was definitely one of my favorites as a kid. Not so much these days. And then like Halo still sticks around. I'm a big Destiny 2 guy, so those, and World of Warcraft, of course. So those are my top favorite franchises out there.
How many hours you got in World of Warcraft nowadays? All time.
I'm at least 1,000.
Okay.
Between all my characters, at least. I haven't done like a play like /played on my characters because I just don't want to see that number. My wife saw that I had one character for like 4 years of total playtime. She's like, "No, you can't play this anymore."
Nice. That's awesome, man. So yeah, so very cool. Always good to have a Sega and Halo guy. I make sure to keep the panel stacked with Halo people.
Of course,
much to Dan's chagrin.
And what are you gonna do?
Yeah. I mean, happens. Yeah. Guys, do we want to touch on the Snyder Cut real quick? You guys watch it? I know everyone's talking about it.
I got like halfway through it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm only like 45 minutes in. I didn't have much time yet, so I'm gonna sit down and watch it. Maybe tomorrow.
Like, I understand that a lot of people care about DC characters, and I do too. I love comic books, and I love all these characters, and Batman's so familiar. And Superman, I'm not a big fan of Superman. But why does everyone love him? Like, in that universe, Superman? Like, the guy he was around for 2 movies. He caused a whole bunch of damage. Everyone's like, he's dead. Superman died. Like, that's so sad. It's like he blew up like half of Metropolis in his fight with the other guy. Like, and all of a sudden everyone's sad. Like, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. And I think that's the problem I have with Justice League. It's just like, you're just gonna toss that in our face and just be like, oh yeah, here's all these characters, and we need 4 hours to explain everything. And I feel like if you can't set up your characters in like a really good way, and you need 4 hours, that you're telling a bad story.
Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying almost that their setup of the characters leaves a lot to be desired in that universe.
Like, you could have done a whole movie on Cyborg, like a whole movie about how it is to struggle being this new person, but they tried to funnel it into this movie and do it really fast.
Yeah.
And
I think that's what they were trying to do. I mean, because he wasn't hardly in the original cut.
Yeah, all of his stuff was like cut. That was a big
so this was. I mean, it was like kind of his movie a little bit, but it was also everybody else's movie. So I don't know. They were originally going to do a movie. Here's the thing, Zack Snyder is like the Christopher Nolan of directors.
Look,
actually, they're both.
I don't want to have to mute you, right? Don't
hold on. Just give me a second, for God's sakes. The pretentiousness of the 4:3 aspect ratio.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
it drives me crazy.
Fair. I'll let you go.
No, that's like Nolan-esque. That's something that he would do because he'd be like, I'm Christopher Nolan. I'm Zack Snyder, so I'm going to do this at 4:3. Like, everything else, I didn't care. It was just like, yeah, okay, this is fine. It's basically a longer version of the Justice League. Fine, new stuff. Cool. Why 4:3?
Yeah.
I don't understand that. I have 0 monitors, TVs of anything in my house that can, that will do that natively. Nobody does.
Right? You got to take your 1993 Dell laptop.
Yeah.
I do have my Sony Vega sitting in storage over there. I should pull that out.
Like, I think that's the way shot in regular whatever they shoot it in, and then he just decided, we're going to go 4:3 because it's stupid. Everybody is vertical, right? Most people are vertical in the movie, except for when Superman flies, then he's horizontal. But for the most part, we wanted to take advantage of the verticality of these people. Like who? What does that even mean, right? Like, okay, unless people worm their way through life, I guess that makes sense. You're an idiot, Snyder. I just don't say it. Just stop being so damn pretentious. All these people.
It's just so you can watch it on Instagram.
It's stupid. But I have the same problem with people that take upright photos, or shit like that. Like, I don't know when that changed. Well, no, when like you're taking like a picture, this is how you take the picture, not like this. All right, this is dumb. This is new school. This is sorry, millennial kind of shit. I don't know where this happened. All right, but this is how pictures were taken for years and years and years. And then this came along, and now we're watching videos like this. I'm like, this is really stupid. Give me some letterbox something. That's an old man Dan coming out a little bit.
I was gonna say, we got into the rant section real early in this.
Yes. It drives me crazy. Just, take a normal video, people. For God's sakes. It's infuriating.
All right. So I brought up the Snyder Cut, and we got into that. So Christopher Nolan's the best director, by the way. Let's go ahead and move into the actual gaming news before I talk about Tom Hardy as well.
He's on my list.
Anyway, so we've got
a list of people that I cannot stand because they can't talk. Or seriously, have you watched a Tom Hardy movie where you like actually understood every word he said? No.
Yeah, very rude because he barely talked.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was it. Like the one they knew they went in there and he's like, okay, listen, we have to give him as few lines as possible, and that's it because he sounds like he's got marbles in his mouth all the time. Right?
I'm sorry, viewers. I did this. I started it. I did too. I shouldn't have.
Saying. All right. Anyway, that's Tom Hardy. We'll do that. That's a whole show.
All right, let's move on. So we've got a bunch of game updates and delays to talk about. So let's touch on some of these. So first, the big one, as we're talking about superheroes, anyone who expected to play Gotham Knights this year, as it was originally announced, is not going to anymore. So Gotham Knights has been officially delayed to 2022. And that, of course, brings up the question of Suicide Squad, Rocksteady's game, which they said was still a ways out because I think they originally said that was 2022 to begin with. So who knows where that is nowadays. But, yeah, this is another major delay. I still don't think, we've been talking about, I don't think this is going to be the last of them. We're going to continue to see delays. Yeah, you guys, I don't even know if it's worth caring about delays anymore because they're so common now. I don't even really take release dates seriously until we're like a month or two out. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Gotham Knights?
I forgot about it.
That's the best way to do it, honestly. Look at like the next month of releases, unless it's something really critical. But
I saw it when it came out. I remember I was out east. I was in the Hamptons when it came up, and I was like, "Yeah, damn, I'm missing this whole thing." And then I instantly forgot about it, like a week later. And then they're like, "Oh, it's getting moved," and I'm like, "Oh shit, that was this year? Like, really?"
Yeah, I thought it was like 2 or 3 years away.
Yeah, I could have sworn it was much further down the line, but like
Suicide Squad was when they announced that in 2020. They said 2022.
I just because I know they're all games as a service titles. Like that's just what WB's chasing right now. So I think they're kind of looking at what other titles are doing, and they're going to go, no, we're not doing that. Like they saw what happened with Avengers. They saw what happened with pretty much everything that's not Destiny 2. And they're like, we can't do that. We can't have a failing game. They saw Anthem and said, we can't do the thing where they release a game and for the first year it's totally broken. And then like you give it the year and they're like, oh, okay, everything's better, come back to us. And they know they can't do that. So
that's fair.
I think it was a smart move to delay it. I had no idea what this game's really gonna feel like, but we'll see what happens with it. I got really no other thoughts than that.
Yeah.
I think I saw somebody tweet out, is it more the pandemic or is it more the Cyberpunk effect? Like where you release the game and that somebody tweeted that. I was like, what? That's not a really far off notion because you kind of see what happens in not just that game with Anthem and stuff like that. Like you said, Steve, it's do you want to release it to and be half-assed and slightly broken and or just delay it because everybody else is delaying it now. Now you've got precedent. It's not like you're anybody. You're like the first person to delay a game during the pandemic.
No, it's the standard now.
Yeah, you're pretty much just at this point, don't say anything. Maybe or just I don't know. Just hey, we got this game coming sometime. Do all Cory Barlog on it, and it'll be done when it's done.
I think that's that's what we're all talking about. Matt, good to see everyone in chat. By the way, what's going on, everyone? I really wish they wouldn't announce games until 6 months before launch. I pay no mind until launch is imminent. And that's kind of the thing. Like, wait till you have something meaningful to show us, and don't announce a date until you're really close to being locked in, which is late in the cycle. I get it, but if your game's good and it's it looks good, plays good, it doesn't matter if you don't announce the release date until a month or two out.
Yeah, but
people are still going to buy it.
Yeah, but how are you going to pad those pre-order numbers?
Yeah, I know.
Nowadays, what you don't do, release a demo that's kind of half-assed with a shaky cam,
Hey. You know, I listened to the episode where you were bashing Outriders. I got some choice words for you. I'm glad I got invited.
I've been playing a lot of it lately. That has been like it's been that and Prey and Marvel's Avengers, like the games that nobody else plays. Right?
We're gonna talk about Prey.
Yeah. So I'm all over it. They've done some really good improvements in a very, very short period of time on a demo. Yes. So I'm like, hey, wow, this is actually not bad. You know, I want to be able to. Now it's the fact that it's going to be on Game Pass is and we'll talk about that later. But that I don't know what it is. It's still almost the same game, but it's just like, hey, I'm not paying for it, so this makes it that much better because free is awesome. So
you just said free. We're going to touch on that in a bit here, but
I mean, yeah.
By the way, Vogel, good to see you, brother. I love Dan's rants. He does make great points, and I agree. Vogel, don't encourage him.
Thank you. I'll be here all week.
Sark's in the house. $4.99 super chat. Thank you, brother. First world problems of 4.3 almost had me skip it. Yeah, it is. Especially like if I've got a pretty big theater set up, and it's like you sit there and you just, it feels like I'm trying to go back 20 years. Love the shirt, Dan. Wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
Thanks, Sark. Appreciate it, brother. The hell were we talking about? Yeah, I don't know. I just think delays are so common. Games are so complicated. We're seeing so many games launch as buggy messes, which we seemingly always talk about. And Cyberpunk, I think you're right, Dan, saying the Cyberpunk effect. It sounds kind of funny, but it absolutely has had an impact on other developers. Mm-hmm. I mean, hell, the market evaluation of CD Projekt Red was affected by a lot of money due to the release of Cyberpunk and the negativity around it. So you can damn well be sure that other executives at other companies are looking at that and going, we're not letting that happen to us. Because you're talking about a lot of money. And when it affects those people in charge and their pocketbooks, then they start to care.
But it also makes, and I know we'll talk about this, but Game Pass a little bit more enticing for those kind of third-party devs, I think. And
yeah, I was just talking about delays.
Oh yeah, I know. But I mean, like if you're going in there and it's like, well, maybe I can release kind of a half-ass game on this service, maybe instead of I mean, well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like it doesn't have to be perfect because I mean, at least there, whatever you want to do. I don't know, man. It's fine. We're gonna get to a point where it's like, I mean, we saw what happens in April and May. We're gonna be flooded with stuff.
Yeah.
So assuming that none of that gets pushed back, but even if it does, there's so much there.
Well, half of those games have already been delayed.
Yeah.
Returnal was delayed. Deathloop was delayed.
Right.
Ratchet was originally supposed to be first quarter. That's June now. Yeah. I mean. Yeah.
It's just we're gonna get to a point where it's just not gonna matter. We're gonna have so much, and there's gonna be so much, content out there that delays are just gonna,
I'm like, there now. Yeah, delays don't bother me even a little bit. It's just like whatever. I got plenty to play.
No, yeah, there's plenty to play, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to balance out my my backlog. So it's kind of like I knew it. I called it. I'm like, this year's going to be a backlog year. I'm going to really be able to put some time to some titles I would love to give more love to. But the big thing was like, these are all games that were delayed. So what's going to happen in 2022 now? Like, what about those games? We're not going to see anything. And especially with next gen, a lot of people bought next gen systems to play these next gen games. And usually it takes like a year and a half before we start getting like a nice slew of titles. So now we have these next gen systems. We're probably not going to see that big expansive library boom that we usually get for at least like, I'm going to say like maybe another year and a half. Like we do have some of the PS5 exclusives coming out and some of the Xbox stuff coming out. And I think that's really where Microsoft's really going to take off because they're showing like their hand. And then one day we're going to just log on and it's going to be like, here's all your games because they bought 23 studios. So.
That's what Dan and I keep talking about is that time will come where it's just like, here's this and this and this and this and this. And actually, I keep saying we're going to talk about this. So yeah, it's starting to head that way already. So just a couple other updates before we firmly get onto the whole Game Pass conversation we want to tackle is Dying Light 2. We got an update this week and that right at the end, they still showed 2021. It was, I don't know if did you guys watch that little 2-minute trailer they put up of it? They basically spent like a minute reading what would equate to like mean tweets about the game being delayed and joking about it, but then just saying, look, we want this game to be everything you want it to be and we want it to be. But right at the end, they did show 2021. So we'll see if they didn't give a date, but we'll see. The other big thing that's been talked about, especially among some people in the know, if you will, is that Starfield is expected to release this year. It's one of those two big titles that Xbox hasn't shown, but is planning to release this year, of course, barring any further delays. So the interesting thing here I was thinking about is, if Starfield, and we know that PlayStation already showed Horizon Forbidden West and God of War were supposed to all release this year, which I know we've talked about a few times. I don't know what the odds of the over and under are that all three of those major titles release this year, but I don't see any chance in hell of that happening.
Can you imagine?
No.
I mean, I don't even know what you would do. Like, you would have zero time to do anything. Then you have Halo coming out, and
I'm already going to have zero time to do anything.
Right. I mean, it's insane to me. Yeah. I mean, I'm all for it, but
the only nice thing, I mean, Horizon's a huge game if Forbidden West is like the first one, right? It's an open world game. God of War is probably the smallest of the games we're talking about, right? It's more of a singular kind of semi-open experience. Still a long game. If it's similar to the first one. But yeah, if Starfield is truly like an Elder Scrolls / Fallout game, but sci-fi, we know how much time people put into those games. It's endless.
Mm-hmm. So. I think if that game, specifically Starfield, coming from that Bethesda studio, we probably would have seen something of it by now besides a screenshot. Like, I feel like...
Leak, you mean?
Anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's been said, right, is that's their summer show blockbuster. So it goes back to, do they wait to show it 3, 4, 5 months before release? But I don't know. It's all speculation right now.
Yeah, I don't see anything this major, this big hitting this year. And also kind of like, I don't know what production schedules look like nowadays with the COVID situation.
Yeah.
So like, and I know that like some teams kind of stack up on each other. Like once a game is done or again to the edge, like the guys at the start are already pre-production, kind of getting that whole ball rolling. So like God of War, I think it's possible. I think it's because it's that smaller scale type of game and Sony's making that effort to present smaller experiences at a cheaper cost. Like we had Miles Morales come out.
Miles Morales approach, yeah.
Yeah, and like I don't know much about Returnal, but I feel like that's going to be a game where it's going to be more about like just doing similar things over and over again because it has that that roguelike situation to it.
Yeah, they've said that.
So I feel like with Sony's new approach, God of War could possibly hit this year, but Forbidden West, not at all. I don't think so.
So you're betting against Forbidden West.
I'm betting against Forbidden West. I can see God of War happening.
Yeah. The other big one we have too is Battlefield 6, which I think it was Jeff Grubb said is supposed to be shown at a May event by EA. That's the current plan anyway. And remember that they took Criterion off of Need for Speed for the rest of this year to help DICE finish Battlefield 6 because they want it to release this year. And in my head, I adore Battlefield. I've had hundreds, if not thousands of hours of fun with friends in Battlefield over the years. But if there's one game I don't want to see rushed at launch, it's Battlefield because those games rarely launch well. They're full of bugs, menu issues, server problems. Like, please, if it's not ready, please don't release it.
It's going to be a shit show with those guys. But you see these like little things from EA, like, we're just going to kind of let you do your thing. They ain't gonna be able to keep their damn hands out of that cookie jar. They want the money. So I don't trust any Battlefield game that ever releases anymore. Hopefully we get it, and hopefully it'll be, before Halo, so I can play a little bit. Actually, it doesn't really matter to me. That's the only multiplayer game I ever play, really. If I go in and play multiplayer.
Halo? Yeah, I'm with you.
No, not even close. It's Battlefield. But just don't screw it up. For God's sakes. I mean, I've always said this, you see all these other studios and you've seen yourself, your very own studio and the mistakes it's made, but nobody ever seems to learn. about from their mistakes. I don't understand that whole thing, but whatever.
Money, man, money. It's that fiscal. Those fiscal releases have to hit.
I also just don't get how you've been a studio for so long and you've worked with the same engine for so long and you still mess it up.
Especially like UI bugs, right? And
yeah.
It's like, what are we doing?
Like you've made countless games on this thing, on this broken ass engine, and you still use it. Like you'd figure after like the first 3 games, you'd be like, nah, let's switch like Unreal. No. Like they gotta use the same one. I'd be like, no, it's better this time, and it never is. It never is.
Yeah, I need that gold-plated Bugatti. We're using the damn engine. Nope, that's how it is, man.
At least I feel like they've been talking about Elder Scrolls 6 since I was 13 years old. And little known fact, Elu's actually 64. So yeah, it's been a while. Matt said, far more excited for Starfield than Elder Scrolls or Fallout. I love space games and my mind goes wild thinking of Bethesda making one. That's the thing, right? It's like we know the potential that could be there given the team, given what they've done in those other spaces. So sci-fi mixed with Elder Scrolls really has me pumped too. I'm just a little nervous, Fallout 76 and, the last few releases have made me a little nervous, but I'm pretty confident that this is going to be a solid one.
Are we sure that this is what type of game it is? Like, is it Elder Scrolls in space, or is it a single player game maybe, or is it? I've never heard any specifics.
Well, they've said, which I think people kind of took the next logical step, is that this is the next big new IP from the team that brought you Elder Scrolls, Skyrim. They always say Skyrim because Skyrim obviously has sold millions of copies. So people are assuming, including myself, that because this is Todd Howard's team, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, that this is a single player sci-fi RPG.
What if they took it in a whole different direction?
They certainly could.
They certainly could. We have no freaking clue. Either way, I'm going to play the damn thing. So it doesn't really matter, I guess.
Yeah, it just better be good.
Yeah,
you made us wait this long. You teased us for so long, and if you're a studio known for making that type of game, that's what I'm gonna expect. Like Machine Games makes their type of games, Arcane makes their style of games. They all have that thing. So if they kind of break away from that, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think I'm with Dan. I'll play it if it's on Game Pass.
That's it. We're getting it day one anyway, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tillman, same conversation. How many people actually play on all ecosystems continuously? Because I have them all, and I never turn on my Switch. I turned on my PS5 the other day just to make sure it still works. It does, so that's good. But in the coming months, right, when we get Returnal and Deathloop and Ratchet, basically month after month after month, I'll be on my PS5 continuously, and my Xbox will go quiet for a while. But you're right; it's almost impossible to play games across all 4 continuously. There's just too much.
Yeah, mine's usually like a wave. Like I'll go in
exactly.
waves. I'll be playing something on the PS5 for a long time, and then I'll jump over to, like Division 2. And then I don't know. It all depends on the day. I usually just, I sit down in the morning, I grab a couple controllers, put them next to me, and whatever strikes, whatever mood strikes. That's what
you blindfold yourself.
That's what I pick up and play. Like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, Matt's right. Battlefield 4 was a disaster for about a year. I think people forget that because everyone looks back on Battlefield 4 saying that's, the best Battlefield. Many people, I think, believe that, which I'd probably agree. Battlefield 4 was incredible. But its launch was an absolute disaster. I mean, you basically couldn't even play it with friends half the time. Hassan, what's up, man? Faz in the house. Wilmy in the house. What's going on, brother? Hassan said, yeah, Todd Howard mentioned in an interview it's a single-player game. Yeah, I think we know that aspect, but I think Dan's point, Dan, was that we don't know if it's the same kind of open-world, free-form RPG versus, say, like a narrative-driven adventure game or something like that. It could be a different kind of format. So... Wilmy says, may accept my Switch. It cries sometimes at night. I can hear it from my living room.
Monster Hunter's coming, baby.
Don't see. Elu posted earlier in the chat about Monster Hunter Rise. I was trying not to bring it up because it's not worth talking about. But if you want to,
that game every single week, we can't bring up one of the greatest Capcom.
Whoa!
Monster Hunter is fantastic.
I agree with Dan on this one. I gotta say, Monster Hunter was good. Monster Hunter World specifically, World was really good. If you played the other ones were horseshit.
They were really rough. Especially if you compare them to what they did with World.
Yeah.
I mean it's insane.
Imagine walking into your bathroom and you had to experience a loading screen. That's what Monster Hunters, like the old ones, were like. Now it's a smooth experience. If they can bring that over to Switch, that'd be great. My only problem is that the graphics just look really washed out and Switch-like, and that doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah, it's
got an awesome theme, and that's what I hate about it. I would skip it otherwise, but it's on the fence for me.
So two things. Yeah, I think people forget. Well, first of all, Steve, I don't think you realize what the pain you've just caused me over probably the next week or two by doubling down on Monster Hunter World. So I'll deal with that offline with everyone who's now going to ping me. But no, about the Switch, I think people often forget really that, think of the evolution of the Xbox One / PS4 to the Pro and X, and now to the Series X PS5. And we often talk about going back to the Xbox One launch box as like a joke. You know what I mean? It's like, God, that's ancient now. It didn't run games well. They were 900p, blah, 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 right? The Switch is not even as powerful as a base Xbox One. It's lower than that. So the fact that that's what we joke about with like the Switch Pro is like a big game like Monster Hunter Rise, which no matter my feelings on it, it's a huge game, right? It's going to sell tons of copies. They kind of have to go with that kind of off art style because they don't have another option. Yeah. The hardware's not there.
And the Switch is such a big contender in Japan, and Capcom's
everywhere.
Backyard. Yeah. Yeah, everywhere, truly, yeah. But like Monster Hunter specifically, that game is huge in Japan to a point where I think Monster Hunter World didn't release in certain places on Xbox because the audience just wasn't there. So if you wanted to team up with other people from around the world, you had to play it on PlayStation. So, yeah. So a friend of mine he bought the Monster Hunter PlayStation 4, it's glorious looking. But he told me, he's like, you don't buy an Xbox because you'll only be able to play with like a very small group of people because just Xbox wasn't popular. But now that's growing too. So it makes sense to release it on Switch because that's where you're going to have the biggest impact for that title.
Yeah,
but I just don't know why they wouldn't even consider a Xbox or a PlayStation port. Like they got a PC port coming out next year.
Okay.
But besides that, I don't know why they...
Maybe it's because Nintendo's online infrastructure is so solid.
Oh yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Isn't Monster Hunter the first game that they're introducing whatever new online crap they have?
You're right. Yes, the new back end for the Switch. This is the first major game releasing on it. You're absolutely right. I forgot that, Dan.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, and that's going to go over smooth as butter. I can't wait.
It'll be perfect.
Yep. I remember last year when Animal Crossing came out, and I'm playing with my wife and a good friend of mine, Brian McGinnis. He, comedian friend of mine. We're on the phone talking, and we have like 10 people with us in this room. And when someone leaves, you have to watch a cutscene of people leaving your island. And he's like, do I seriously have to sit here for 30 minutes watching people leave this goddamn island? And I'm like, yeah, that's Nintendo for you. He's like, I can't even log out of the game. I can't even stop playing just because like the infrastructure. So Nintendo has such an archaic way. Like I feel like they make something really good, but because it's really good, they're going to make you suffer. Fine, you want this game? Cool, but it's gonna suck.
By the way, Faz is standing up. Ban Monster Hunter NSG. We're all for it. That's yeah. If we need to put the hammer down.
You are.
Anyway, Hamad, what's going on, man? New face. Appreciate you coming by. I hope Starfield is a space exploration game. Yeah, we don't know. I guess hopefully we see in the rumored June, right? So yeah, we'll see.
Cool.
Chat, thanks, man. Thanks for everyone coming by. Appreciate you. Love seeing new people swing by. Let's jump over to the Game Pass discussion that we kind of touched on earlier with Outriders and some other things. So yeah, we talked last week around the rumor. Remember, they were teasing that Outriders was coming to Game Pass. Well, right at the beginning of this week, they finalized it that this is happening. So it's launching day and date in Game Pass. We also saw a bunch of other stuff coming. Game Pass has been absolute fire lately. I mean, it's just crushing it, including, which was most interesting, Octopath Traveler, which, Switch exclusive previously. Pretty popular game, I'd say, among the crowd that loves those kind of Japanese RPGs. And without any notice. I mean, Octopath Traveler wasn't even in a conversation for anyone going anywhere else. Not that I'm aware of anyway. And I'd like to say I look at this shit all day, every day. So it just kind of was like, oh, here's more games coming to Game Pass, and everyone's like, wait, Octopath Traveler, where'd that come from? So pretty cool, along with a bunch of other games, right? I'm not even going to mention them all. We're also Xbox has already said, more to come. They're already teasing more big games coming. The prevailing rumor from a few people who have leaked things successfully, not all these stupid rumors we see 100 times a day, but a couple people that have leaked things accurately many times over have said that, yes, Persona 5 and some of those Atlas titles are coming to Game Pass too. Those deals are wrapped up. You should expect to see them soon. And next, I don't know what day of the week it is, but next week, Twitch is teaming up with Xbox for a ID at Xbox showcase, many of which those games are going to launch on Game Pass too, including games like Stalker 2 is a big one, The Ascent, Second Extinction, a bunch more games. I think they said there's over 100 games currently pre-production in ID at Xbox, and I think they're talking about like 40 of them next week or something. So, I mean, it's just, I could keep going here, but it's just a absolutely tremendous time for Game Pass. And I think the conversation now is, Outriders being, I believe, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but is this the first full price major release that's launching for full price on PC and PlayStation, but launching in Game Pass, $60?
For what? For Outriders?
Yes. Because we've seen other games launch in Game Pass, but typically they're smaller, right? They're $20 releases, $30 releases. I was trying to think if there had been a $60 full retail release launch day and date in Game Pass to date, and I couldn't think of one off the top of my head. So chat, or you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Outriders is starting that precedent, which, as I said many times, is coming. It's going to continue to ramp up.
I think this is the first one. I think it's the perfect test to give, because you already have this amazing relationship between Square-Enix and Xbox, which I have no idea how that came about. Like, Phil must have really sweet talked his way into that one. But
the Outriders piece?
Not just Square-Enix's relationship.
Oh,
with
yeah,
Xbox.
Because they've been sour there for a long time, and now it suddenly has shifted. Yeah,
and now like Square is like, all right, here's all of our games except Final Fantasy 14. Like, here's all of them. Yeah. And to see Outriders, I know a lot of people aren't big on it, but for a game that's kind of very lukewarm reception wise, to give it away for free to people, and to kind of it's definitely that area where it's like, let's see how this goes, and if there is a really good reception behind it, we'll probably see more just from Square.
Yeah. And one thing I want to touch on real quick, and I took a picture of Game Pass statistics because I didn't have them on my computer. Now, this is funny because I was talking to people the other day about this, and I noticed you just said it, Steve, and Dan said it just about 10 minutes ago, as you both said the word free. And I think it's really interesting that many of us, myself included, continue to say, I'm getting the game for free, when obviously we're not. We're paying for a service. But it's a mental thing, right? It's the mental thing. Like when a movie I wanted to see is suddenly on Netflix or Prime or Hulu, whatever it is, right? It's like, oh, now I can watch it for free. Well, it's not free. I'm paying for it. But it adds to that mentality for consumers that you're getting more for your, you are getting more for your money, but you're getting something that almost feels like you shouldn't be. You know what I mean? It's like, I was going to pre-order Outriders, but now I can just play it in day one and not even pre-order it, even though I'm obviously paying for Game Pass. It's interesting.
I think it's exactly what you said. I just think with specifically Outriders as this being that first one, I think it's going to open the doorway to a lot of other stuff.
This is only the beginning.
Yeah, like this is the guinea pig. This is
no doubt.
I end with crossplay too. I'm gonna be able to play with people no matter what I'm on.
Yeah, it's really I mean, they're doing good work over there. Wanted to pull this up. I'm not going to pronounce that properly. I'm going to say Dotun Olusi. That's wrong, I'm sure. First time sending a message, but I watch you guys a lot, and your show is so great. It deserves a bigger audience. From Nigeria, man. Thanks so much for reaching out.
Awesome.
Appreciate the compliment. Appreciate the message there. So thank you, and great to have you listening. I do mention sometimes, rarely, but when I look at like the podcast statistics for people who listen and tune in, it's amazing. I mean, I think I counted it up for the people who visited Season Gaming last year, and it was like 180 some countries, which like doesn't even make sense in my mind, but it's fantastic to think that there's people out there checking us out from all over the world. So thank you for that. Pampa, I know you said Gears. Yeah, obviously that's a big AAA release that was in Game Pass day one, but that's first party, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're thinking more about third party $60 or $70 releases. But anyway, Dan, what do you got on this, man? I know we talk about Game Pass a lot. It's hard not to, given it feels like every couple of weeks now there's something else to talk about.
Yeah, days at this point.
Yes. Yeah. Xbox has no chill lately, man. It's like I'm trying to work and they're just like, oh, here's this and here's this and here's this and here's this. And I'm like, God damn, guys, calm down.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff I've been waiting for. Not to say that my purchases and stuff haven't been justified, but this is the kind of stuff I want to see going forward. This is one of those, to me, this is kind of one of those buffer games where you've got your first party games coming out every few months. This in between there somewhere, drop a third party full game release, and it's on the service that you're paying for. This is the kind of stuff I want to start seeing. So I was super excited about this because this is like one of the few games I didn't pre-order.
I don't believe that for a second. But
I didn't. Go figure. I had no idea. But yeah, I jumped back on and played some, got through the demo, maxed out everything as much as I could. And I'm try it on launch day, and worst thing that happens is I uninstall it at some point.
Well, I think that's one of the great things about this too is especially games like this that have a co-op or multiplayer component, right?
Yep.
Is you're now opening the door to millions and millions of people playing your game in that co-op experience, which is how the game is supposed to be played, right?
Right. Does this game have microtransactions, like cosmetic stuff? I'm assuming. No,
I haven't
seen anything about it either.
No, I'm pretty sure People Can Fly said this is it's a core focus experience. They keep saying it's not a game as a service, which we keep talking about. And I'm pretty sure. I know we have some listeners who are really big into this, but I'm pretty sure they said there's no microtransactions at least at launch. What they said that their plans for the future, I guess they're speaking to expansions, really depends on the reception of the game after launch, which Game Pass will obviously boost quite a bit now. So
there's the invisible gun.
Say it again.
There's the invisible gun I'm waiting for. Like, please play the game so we can stay in business.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep his ball rolling. We need it.
Oh, damn. I was trying to find the there it is. So speaking on Game Pass, so Sarah Bond, who leads the partnerships for Xbox, she was in the Bethesda Roundtable last week. She's been at E3. She's one of the kind of prominent people for Xbox. Here's the updated statistics. She basically came out and said that if you're a Game Pass subscriber on the Xbox ecosystem, whether it be Xbox or PC, you spend 20% more time playing games overall than people who aren't, which kind of makes sense. Otherwise, those are the people who are going to subscribe. You play 30% more games, meaning a broader exposure of games. And of those, it represents 40% more genres. So when they break down all the genres, you're trying other games that other people don't try. They also spend 20% more on gaming overall within the ecosystem. So even in addition to Game Pass, they're buying more games, buying more additions, expansions, DLC, what have you. And the biggest statistics, of course, which I've talked to before and people just don't believe for whatever reason, is that games in Game Pass sell more. More copies sell versus games that don't, on average. Still today, anyway. Now, I know Matt Piscatella, who's one of the industry analysts, he said, this continues to surprise the analysts that games are selling more when they're in Game Pass. Their big thing is we don't know how long that'll continue, but for now, it continues to be true. Which is impressive to me because I know even personally, someone like me who loves physical copies, buy all my games. There have been games that I was going to buy, Outriders being a perfect example, that I'm not going to now. Yeah. But I'm just one person of millions, right? So overwhelmingly, as we always say, Dan, they're the ones with the actual statistics.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, if that's what they say, then I always curious because they're very vague as far as like what does this count for? Like one of I don't know how they get their numbers. I'm assuming like, is it okay? We've got 20,000 subscribers or 20 million subscribers or whatever it is. Is that month on month? That are locked in,
active.
or is that active, just like active at that point?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. See, get a little more specific for me because I have no idea.
Yeah,
I don't really care either.
By the way, not to interrupt you, but Shizno and Doten both confirmed there's no microtransactions at launch.
Fantastic, good. But yeah, I mean, it's you see all these games coming. We talked about it over the last few weeks being a service that's indispensable. And getting to that point where as a gamer, you need to have this. Obviously, there's always going to be those outliers that are going to be like, yeah, I just don't need it. The people that don't have Netflix and Hulu's and all that other stuff, and yeah, I mean, whatever. Do your thing. That's literally and this is like me. I got HBO Max for free for 7 days, and then it's going away until maybe Godzilla comes out, and maybe I buy it for another month. That's the kind of
So you use it as you see the need to.
As I see the need to, and I've always wanted to kind of sit down and really, I mean, it would take me a while, I think, and figure out what have I played, through Game Pass, and what has this service given me as far as, hours of play and just to get the numbers, not necessarily because I care so much, but I just find it interesting because I can go back and I've said this before, Sea of Thieves, huge, hundreds of hours, and I eventually bought it when it was on sale for like $20,
20 million players they announced this week, by the way.
Right. Humongous. I was on there yesterday playing some. Yeah.
Game's huge.
Yeah. And then,
Well, I don't know if you saw, same point. Sorry to interrupt you. When they released Forza Horizon 4, did the update and then released it on PC, that went from 6 million to 12 million. It's now 24 million players for Forza Horizon.
People love new shit. That's the thing, they get kind of every once in a while, you got to kind of, get some more excitement going, even these PC players who will be able to play these games, like Forza Horizon 4, or some of the Sony games are releasing them. They just hold off, and they've got more patience than I do.
I mean, there are some there's a millions of people on PC who are dedicated PC players, right? They're only going to play it if it's on PC.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, if I could go ahead in time for like a year from now, I think I would be set for probably 4 or 5 years down the road, because I would have to catch up on that whole year, right? And then stuff would still be, coming out. And that's what I need to do, and kind of get ahead of the game. But once I think, like you said, it starts rolling, we see Octopath Traveler. I've wanted to try Empire of Sin.
I just installed it this morning.
Yeah, I installed it a few days ago. It's one of those games I wanted to just see what it was like. And that's what Game Pass has always been. Mostly for me, it's been like a nice place to demo these games out, and then if I like it, jump back in and play.
Well, it's funny because what you're talking to right there touches on the statistics that we just spoke to. You're trying more games, you're playing more games, you're trying more genres because you can. Yeah. It's there, right? Sorry, Steve, give me 1 second. I missed a few comments I want to touch on here. Gaming Gentleman, what's up, man? He said, don't expect new gameplay of Stalker 2, by the way. The devs came out to say it's too early, but they will have a presence. That's for next week's Xbox and Switch show we talked about. Also, Darge Knight in the house, our guest from last week. Does Xbox have games yet? Stop it. Bring that sauce over here, sir. Thanks for coming by, Darge. Steve, anything to add on this, man?
Yeah, I'm thinking about the whole situation of just getting these games in people's hands and creators being able to express themselves creatively and have more people jump in. Like it's kind of amazing because you have a lot of games that are they're soulless. They lack any sort of like feeling passion in them. Passion, that's the word. And we're going to get into one of those later. But it's just like, that there's these games that are just made because they just want your money, and they don't want some of it. They want all of it. They want all your money. EA is one of those companies where they can be really passionate when they want to. And when they are, you got games like Jedi Fallen Order, which it wasn't the best Star Wars game ever, but it's damn close to it. And you got a really good team of passionate people who were able to do what they wanted to do. Then you got Avengers, where it was, you can see that there was some solid love in that game, and they were told, nope, chop it up. Just chop it up, and
it screams of broken direction is what I read about the game.
Yeah. And like, now that you have these creators who are able to make games that they passionately like just care about, Empire of Sin. I have a friend of mine who actually worked on that game. Cool. He was a sound director in that game, and he met with the team, and he's like, these are some great people. And now you get to see these awesome people make really good games, and people are playing them, and that breathes more life into the studio. Correct. And on top of that, when you're talking about recurrent user spending, you have people who, if you put out a really good game, they're gonna spend money on it. Yep. Out of guilt or just out of convenience, whatever it is. You look at games like Path of Exile, absolutely free.
Yep. Play from has been for nearly 10 years.
Yeah, you do not have to spend a single dime.
Yep.
But when you think about it, you're like, you know what? I'll throw them $20. That's $20 extra they got, and you didn't have to do it. No. And that's the stuff I love. But when you get to games like Avengers, where it's like, now you have to spend money if you want to progress, that's where the problem comes in. And I think that there's a big disconnect from the people who think like, oh, we'll just make money this way. That's what people will do. No, it's becoming way more apparent of how you make money. You put in the why you make the game first, and then people will follow. There's a wonderful conversation online from speaker Simon Sinek, who I love listening to this guy talk because he makes so much sense. And it really applies to everything. It's called the Golden Circle. It's like 15 years old, this conversation, this TED talk he had. It's like 15 years old. And it's all about the concept of, why a company is successful. And it's because they start from why they do it, and they work themselves out. Why do we do this? We do this because we love it, not because it's for the money. That's a reaction to why you do it. That happens after you do your thing. So you see these companies making money and being really big and starting to get popular, and these little independent studios are becoming rock stars overnight because they love what they're doing, and that's how they're expanding. Where else do we get that?
Yeah, you've made some great points. That's a recurrent user spending is something that you nailed there, and that's the difference between games like, when you look, it's funny because the ecosystem's almost, that becomes increasingly apparent if you look at PlayStation and their success with their first party. Mm-hmm. So you look at obviously God of War is always the first one that comes to mind. Horizon, Last of Us, single player, no transactions, very little DLC, if any, depending on the game. They are focused on that old model of, you got to sell the copies, right? You got to sell enough copies, and if it's good enough and sells enough copies, you make lots of money, which works.
Yeah.
Then you look at games on the Xbox side, which may not have launched as greatly is a terrible word there, but you know what I mean. Not as acclaimed, right? Sea of Thieves, perfect example. State of Decay 2, another great example. You've got games like that. We were just talking about Forza Horizon 4. Hell, Master Chief Collection, another perfect example. But over time, just the continued growth, the continued evolution, it drives recurrent user spending, to your point, which is the exact phrase. And it drives a community that just broadens and broadens and broadens. And they're completely different approaches. I'm not saying one is right, one's wrong. They both can work in the right environment. But I think the overall point you're making, I'm trying to summarize, is that, and Dan, you kind of touched on this too, is that what Game Pass does for these developers, especially now like the Bethesda studios, which we heard directly from Todd Howard and some of the people at Bethesda, it gives them the freedom to make games, to be creative, to make more passionate games, because the focus is less about how is this game going to make money and more about just generating a community and playtime and enjoyment. And we've even seen that. I was going to touch later on it, but we've even seen that with the Bethesda titles that were just added last week. How many people, and I've been pimping it probably as much as anyone, but how many people are playing Prey for the first time and saying, holy shit, this game's fantastic. It's like, yes, you should have played it in 2017, goddammit. But all these other games about, wow, these games are fantastic. And that's what Game Pass does. And you know as well as I do, the developers at those studios who are seeing these comments and seeing their game and the analytics around their gameplay going through the roof now are just, you know, they're overwhelmed with joy, I'm sure. So it's changing. It's already changing the conversation of how games get made. And I think that impact, actually, I know that impact is just going to grow. And I think that's what's most impressive about it. Sorry, one more thing. Dan, you mentioned a good point about Outriders too, because you've been talking about this for a while, which is the filler games. And it's not fair to call Outriders a filler game per se, but what you mean by that is we're going to get to a point with Xbox where their first party and these major studios will be dropping these major games quarterly, what have you, right? Every few months. And what that gives Xbox the capability to do is have these type of third-party agreements where if they know they have Fable releasing, say, I'm just going to make this up, but Fable releasing in March, and then they know they have Avowed releasing in July, right? They can then make a deal with a third party to go, okay, we need something late April, early May to launch in the service from a third party perspective. And that way your subscribers are getting that monthly content, right? That big content with the indie games filling in all the other little gaps. And it's the delivery of the content is what's most important. And we're literally seeing that grow before our eyes. It's happening as we're talking here.
And just financially speaking, like as a player, I don't have to spend more money. That's great. Like,
yeah,
you know, when I bought the PlayStation 5, I wanted both PS5 and Series X, and my wife was like, "You gotta choose one." And I was like, "You know what? Let me get the PlayStation." I know a lot of people going to PlayStation, like a lot of my friends. And we're several months out. None of my friends are able to get anything. But if I stuck with the Series X, I would have all the money I spent would have been like on PS5 games. I wouldn't have spent that, you know, with the Series X. And even just seeing stuff like Outriders hitting, I'm like, man, like, what? Like, why did I buy a PlayStation 5? It's creating that unease, and it's really disrupting the market for a lot of people.
Yeah, market disruption is the exact word. I mean, that's what the industries use, right? In terms of referring to things. And I was going to ask you about that because, I mean, Dan and I have both. And it's got to be weird. I don't know what that feels like because it's not like I only have the PS5 and I was going to buy Outriders for $60 on the PS5. But I have seen some comments, at least, and it's anecdotal, comments around, well, shit. I got to pay $60 for this game. Whereas if I'm on exactly what you just said, whereas if I was on Series X or S or whatever, X PC even, right? Because it's Game Pass, although Outriders isn't coming to PC day one. But
no,
the fact stands is that, you know, the people over there, if you will, if you're not on every system, are getting to play that again, going back to the mental thing for free.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm paying $60. And it creates that conversation. And you can be damn sure Microsoft loves that conversation.
Oh,
you know, that's the conversation they want to see is, if you were just on Game Pass, here's this game. But
like, there's a borderline of smugness that they have with it too. Like Phil would get right up there. Like you can see it whenever he talks, he smiles a little bit and he's like, you know, he wants to go all in, but he's got to be corporate about it. Like, I just want to hear like the fly on the wall when he's in the room. He's like, yeah, suck it guys. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, you know, you got to remember, right? If you're him or any one of the core team, it's, you know, he always reminds us it's obviously just not Phil. He's just kind of that person out in front. Yeah. But they spent years. He's said this, like 2-3 years getting Game Pass even to come to life because of all the deals and the architecture and everything else that have to happen. But you got to remember how many people have criticized Game Pass when it first launched. It's like, do we really need this service? Games will never work in this format. Other people have tried this; it doesn't work. People want to own their games. We heard all this crap, right? Which again, we heard the same thing with music. We heard the same thing with movies. You know, how's Blockbuster doing nowadays? here we are. This service is just growing, continuing to grow, continuing to get more content, and it's that's just going to keep happening. Anyone who thinks this is a flash in the pan doesn't know what they're really talking about.
No.
So, man, we got far deeper into that than I expected to. Good to see everyone in chat, man. Thanks. Viewpoint, see you, brother. Who else do I see? Kay Asante, good to see you again. Yeah, man, good to see you guys coming by. But Dan, anything you want to add further on this, man? I think we covered a lot of aspects of it, but
I'm good.
I feel like I've been chattering away.
No, all good.
Well, going back to Square-Enix, we've got Octopath. They're obviously doing Outriders. Many people thinking that we're going to see Persona and some of the other big titles coming soon, which are really Atlas. But it's going to be, the thing that still gets me is Square-Enix is still signing these huge timed exclusive deals, which kind of takes us to our next topic where we're going to touch on Square-Enix Presents. But, before we touch on that show specifically, remember that Final Fantasy 16, which Final Fantasy 16 is one of those games in the industry that's a bomb, right? I mean, it's a megaton game. That's exclusive to PlayStation. Was it a year? It might even be more. I don't know if they announced the time on that, but that's only going to be on PS5 for a while, and that's a huge game. But the reason I bring that up is because at Square Enix Presents this week, we saw what was Project Athea is now Forspoken, which is a ridiculous name. But it looks fantastic. And they announced that Square Enix is a 2-year timed exclusive.
Ooh.
2 years, which is just crazy to me. I was trying to think of other games where we've had timed exclusivity for 2 or more years, and I wasn't coming up with a whole lot. The most we usually see is a year, sometimes 6 months. Like Deathloop is a year, I know. Ghostwire Tokyo is timed. Final Fantasy 16 is timed. Now, Forspoken is a 2-year timed. It's clear that Sony is driving this timed exclusivity for their platform, which, I don't know what you guys think about it. It's interesting, if nothing else. It's one way to play the market. And what we know, the former head of Game Informer, remember, revealed that they were trying to get timed exclusivity on Starfield before Microsoft bought the whole damn farm.
Well, imagine sitting at that desk and being like, yeah, we hear you. We hear you, just knowing Microsoft is like right there.
PlayStation's like, we'll give you like $50 million for timed exclusivity, and they're like $7.5 billion over here. Like,
oh, that's it? Okay. There's a little like notepad with a stick figure on it.
But regardless of the timed exclusivity, Forspoken, guys, we got a gameplay trailer. It looks, I thought it looked really sharp. It looks like a really core next gen game. And later in the trailers, they show some like the abilities, the action abilities, which looked pretty incredible to me. I thought it looked great.
I didn't even watch it.
Come on. Killing me.
I saw like a part of the trailer for Forspoken. I still don't know what it is exactly. So I'm more the, at this point, just give it to me. It looks nice. We saw Project Athea before. It's here's the thing with Square, like it's either hit or miss for me with them.
Me too.
It's like this one. It could be awesome. It could be complete garbage. I have no idea. And I don't know about the 2-year exclusivity thing. Like whatever. At this point, I'm just so tired of this garbage and these stupid ass exclusive shit. But I mean, that's apparently what it's.
It's the nature of the market, doing. Sadly.
Yeah. It sucks, Yeah. But I mean, all right. You want to play it for, if you want to wait 2 years, wait 2 years. It'll probably come to Game Pass in 2 years.
That's right. True. Yeah. Game on in the house. I don't know if that's Acer or Gas, but what's up, brothers? By the way, Steve, before you talk here, there's a couple guys who are like, hey, don't rip on Blockbuster, Gaming Gentleman Matt. Believe me, Blockbuster was a huge part of my childhood. I'm not ripping on them, but let's not forget that Blockbuster had the option to buy Netflix when Netflix was starting up, and they turned it down and laughed at them. So
the reason why Netflix was made was because a guy got late fees on his movies, and he's like, you know what? Screw this, and he made Netflix.
Is that true?
Yeah. The guy who created Netflix was so pissed that he got late fees on his movies. He's like, that's it. I'm taking the whole system down. And he did.
Wow, that's bonkers, man. I didn't know that aspect. I know that Blockbuster did have the opportunity to acquire or basically, take over Netflix early on, but wow, that's funny. So Forspoken, Steve.
It looks really good. 2 years, yeah, that's weird. Like I'm used to the 1 year stuff, especially being a Destiny fan, on Xbox.
That was man, fans are still pissed off about that.
I am still mad, but I'm happy that now, like, all of a sudden, like, Bungie's like, oh, hey, what's going on, Xbox? And like, yeah, here's Beyond Light to make up for all those issues. But man, like 2 years, I just feel like when you play a game with someone, whatever it is, sports or whatever, and you beat the other guy so much that he takes his ball and he's like, that's it, I'm going home. I feel like that's like Sony's way of doing things now. Like, we had the situation with Spider-Man and Avengers, which we still don't have. And like a lot of people got pissed about that. Yeah. And they're like, like it's kind of shitty that they're getting Spider-Man and we won't. And it's kind of shitty. Like, yeah, they're going to have Forspoken for a while, and Xbox fans and PC players might not have it for a while. The time thing sucks. I don't like the time. If it's just straight up exclusive, I kind of got no problem with it. Like, it is what it is.
Which I don't think you're alone. I've heard that from a lot of people, which is kind of interesting to me. I mean, I get it. I'm actually probably in the same place. It just sounds funny when you say it out loud.
Yeah, like
I don't mind if it's fully exclusive. That's fine, but timed is weird. It just feels weird.
It feels weird because I guess in this case too, it doesn't really bother me as much, which is weird because it's so like high. Like I'm trying to think of the word, but it just doesn't seem right. And a lot of people, this kind of scatters everyone. I feel like no one can really pinpoint an actual opinion on it, just because it's like, I don't mind exclusives, but I do mind timed exclusives. And it's like, oh, like I like donuts, but not strawberry. The
weird thing too is when the timed exclusive, it doesn't necessarily mean that the game is going to release on other platforms when that deal's up. We're seeing that with Final Fantasy VII Remake, because that deal was up in this month, like last week, or now. I don't know. It's like right now is when that deal ended, but there's been no talk of that game arriving on Xbox.
Yeah, it's so weird because I think it also has this sense of like, you don't know for sure what's happening.
Yeah.
And it's the mystery behind it that a lot of people just don't like. Yeah. And I get that. And I totally understand it, because like if someone's like, you're going to get $10,000. Oh, when? I don't know. People just like that weird anxiety feeling of what it's like to like, okay, like 2 years from now, is it going to be popular 2 years from now? What's the effect it's going to have on 2 years from now? And for some reason, Sony thinks that 2 year window is going to be big enough where they don't need to worry about it at that point.
Yeah. It's kind of like they're doing when they move their games to PC, which they're not doing it day and date, obviously, right? Sony obviously has something that is telling them the impact, the loss to the PlayStation ecosystem is minimized if we wait X amount of time, right?
And then you have the after effect too. Then you have, okay, so this game's been out for 2 years on PlayStation 5. It's gonna be $20 when you'll find it in the store for $20.
Yeah,
because it's 2 years old. Xbox, is it still going to maintain the $20 price tag, or is it going to be a full-fledged $70 game?
Yeah.
And that's another thing that's going to happen. Like that happened with Switch games, Switch ports.
Yeah, a lot.
Yes. A lot of them. Diablo 3 was $20 maximum on the Xbox and PlayStation Store. $60 on Switch. Why would I pay another $60?
Skyrim was another big one. Same thing. Yep.
Skyrim, Doom.
Yeah,
all those
many
games of you've already played
20 times over. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, Shizno says the Final Fantasy VII Remake is up in April, not now. Sorry, I thought it was March. My fault. Yeah. So yeah, it is strange. Nothing more than that. I think you're right. I think it's that not knowing, because they came out, for instance, with Final Fantasy VII Remake and said it comes out, whatever the date was, April 20th or whatever. It'll launch on Xbox on April 20th, 2021. So definitively that the game is coming at that date. Then it's a little different. But when it's just like, oh, it's timed exclusive and we'll see what happens. Yeah. Then it's like, I guess if you're on one platform, you don't even have something to look forward to.
And it's also like, it's like being told like, oh yeah, you'll have it eventually.
Yeah,
like everyone else gets to play, but you'll have it eventually. Don't worry about it. You'll get it.
The and Pampa says 2 years, the fear of missing out is done. Don't want to spend money on a game at that point. Yeah, exactly. I think what's really interesting too for these timed exclusives, like Deathloop's probably a good example because that comes out in May. It's a new IP from Arcane, one of my favorite developers. But Dishonored 2 didn't meet sales expectations. Prey didn't meet sales expectations. So now you've got another new IP that has no name for it coming out at a busy time of the year from Arcane on a platform, PlayStation 5 exclusively, that has sold a total of what? A couple, 6 million units? Something like that? Okay. So it's at like 5 or something. So by the time May, let's say 6 million, right? So normal adoption rate figures for a new IP, you're probably less than 10%, maybe. Let's say they get 10%. So at most, you're at 600,000 copies. That's not funding AAA game development. No. So it's my point being, it's very strange to see these timed exclusive deals so early in the generation when there's no install base, especially given the distribution challenges that we've seen. Very strange to me.
It's the sales tactic. It's them trying to get more people interested in their platform. But it's funny because it's kind of like, okay, well, here's the gun. And then Microsoft is back there with a bazooka.
Yeah, it is weird. It feels like the developers are almost doing a disservice to themselves. Like, I don't know if Arcane would have made that deal or if Bethesda, being the publisher, made that for them. And now it's just like, your game's going here. That's it. It just seems strange to me.
Or it's like when you're being invited to a party and you're like, I'll stay for like an hour. Instead of like the whole thing. Like, oh no, when the kid comes out, I'll just leave. Like, they had to give him something, like just to get him out the door. Like, fine, have Deathloop.
Deathloop. Damn it, don't let Deathloop die, guys. Come on, man. It looks good. It's Arcane. It's going to be good, I promise. All right, Dan. I know you've been waiting patiently. We got a new Life is Strange, baby.
Fuck that fucking shit. I blocked that entire Twitter account. Like the account, Life is Strange or whatever, whoever the hell puts it out, they're blocked. 100%. Listen, I was on Nick's show Tuesday. And here's what the bottom line is. I have 5 kids. All right. I've seen the angst. I've seen the annoyingness. So I don't need to play it. All right, that's basically what it is. When I played whatever Life is Strange 2, all right, that's basically what I got. Like some cranky ass person that was, bent out of shape because she was, angsty. I hate that kind of shit. Any kind of game like that.
A new banner for you, by the way.
Gone, immediately gone. Never gonna play it. Don't even care.
All right. Now that I let you get that out of your system, let me actually talk about the game. So, Life is Strange, new reveal. It's called True Colors. It is developed by Deck 9, which did Life is Strange Before the Storm. And regardless of Dan's thoughts on this, Life is Strange is a big IP.
They love it.
Very popular. This was a big showing for them, and I think the response from what I've seen, generally speaking, anecdotally again, has been pretty positive. So I'm not a big fan of the game. I've tried, what did I play? Life is Strange 2 a little bit, and nothing wrong with it. It's just not for me. Steve, you have any thoughts on these? Have you played them? You big on them?
I have not.
You feel like Dan?
Here's the thing. It's not a game for me. It's just not. I understand that there is an audience, and the audience loves those games, and that's great for them. I'm not going to tell them that it's a bad game because I've never played it, and I just don't care for it.
Yeah, I think that's where I am too.
But it's just like a lot of people. It's weird. A lot of people really shit on the titles and like, oh, it's this, it's that. It's trying to produce some sort of political agenda behind it, and I'm kind of like, it's one of those things where I kind of put my foot down. I'm like, listen, it's just a game. It's not meant for you. If you don't like the way that this game is, and it's trying to, like, in the Square-Enix, and they said, like, oh, you can have a relationship with a woman or a man, and people just flip out at that. And I'm like, you know what? Make more games like that. Make them so other people are pissed off.
I just want to see people get pissed off.
Yeah, I like just like piss people off for the wrong reasons. Go for it. I don't care. If you're going to do something that's creative and you're doing it because you love to do it, that's fine by me. You know, like of course I'm not gonna play it, but you know, I have respect for studios that look at something, they want to pursue something that's different, that other people can play, that other people feel like they're a part of. Like that's what gaming's about. It's about that level of acceptance. So if people want to play that, good for them. It's not for me. But if people are going to start shoving it down my throat and say you have to play it, then that's where I draw that line of like I don't have to play shit.
Well, I think that's I think the point that speaks to is part of the challenge of the video game industry growing the way it has, because music and movies are so much more mature than gaming, right? They've been around for far longer. They've gone through these growing pains. But the gaming industry now, when we were growing up, because we're old guys here, well, at least Dan and I are, there was a limited amount of games, right? And so it was like you just wanted to play games that released because it was a new game. Whereas the gaming industry is so big now that it can cover all of these new topics. It can cover all these new agendas, areas of impact, whatever you want to cover. But yeah, I think an audience like us just has to get used to more saying, or I should say the gaming audience in general has to get more used to just looking at a game. And even if you think it's the dumbest thing in the world, just saying, it's not for me. There's millions of movies that, you know, are popular that I don't care for. You know, it's just like, it's not my type of movie. Same thing. It's not my type of game.
Yeah, it just, I think a lot of people need to understand that. Like, Dark Souls is not for everyone.
Yes. No difficulty in Dark Souls. Leave it alone.
I have said that I always wanted a difficulty slider, but I also understand that game, it's okay to have a game that's just not for me. Like
that's a funny example. Dan and I always joke about that one too.
It might be hypocritical, but that at least I'm aware of my hypocrisy to a level.
All right. So prior to the show starting, we happened to bring up the Avengers save transfer, and we got into a hilarious rant that we can't recreate. But let's talk about Avengers because they came out and gave us the roadmap. If you haven't seen it, I'm putting it up on the screen now for you. This is the roadmap that they provided. Was it just yesterday, wasn't it? Or Thursday? So it's kind of interesting, right? Because the first thing you notice here, this is for everyone. So they did say Spider-Man, which obviously we just talked about is coming to PlayStation, is delayed. So that's coming later this year now. We don't know exactly when. Here's the other things. Now, I got to be honest, guys, as the host here, I didn't play Avengers. Again, we were just talking about it. Game's not for me. It's just not my type of game. So Steve, you reviewed this for us. I think, honestly, maybe the longest review you've ever written for us.
Oh, yeah.
You had a whole lot to say about it, and I know we've talked about it offline. So I know when you saw this roadmap, you kind of were like, what the hell is this? So explain to me what's going on with Avengers, or explain to the audience, I should say, what's going on with Avengers and what this roadmap did or did not do for you.
First, I want a check from Square-Enix. You know, I wrote that follow-up about things they should change.
You did.
And like those three things, I picked the top three things I want to see. And I noticed two of them are in the works. And one of them is being able to play as whatever hero you want, which like should have been the game in the first place.
Sure.
Should have been the game in the first place. Oh my God. So they're now doing their roadmap, right? Like every other games as a service game, here's what we're planning to do. This is what we want you to experience. The problem is it's too late. It's too late. You have under 300 players on PC playing.
300?
Yeah, it's like way low on PC.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's really bad. Xbox and PlayStation, I can't really tell you. I can tell you that when I went to play it, I waited 20 minutes to find someone to play with on PlayStation.
Wow.
So I just started playing it solo because I couldn't find anyone. And I don't know if that's because it's low population or because their back end stuff is just bad, which is a possibility. But when you don't have people playing your games as a service game and you don't have good content, like what's the point of a roadmap? And you're going to like tell me that Taskmaster is another great villain to include for like the fourth time in a row. Like there's just take a comic, open it up, and just throw a dart at it. You'll find someone else. It's like, oh, Taskmaster again. Like I don't understand. I know they have to push it and they have to make as much money as they can because once again, that's just where they are at this game. It's a soulless, passionless project. I feel like the developers are being chained to their desks for like 10 hours a day because they need this game to work so desperately bad. Like, who planned this? Who planned this entire game on? Oh, we're gonna have a DLC character. Okay, Kate Bishop, great. You have the third female character in this game. Awesome, whatever. We're gonna follow up now. She's a bow user. So who's the next person? Hawkeye. You're gonna back those two characters up, and then then they came out and they said, "Oh, we had plans for Black Panther, but we didn't do it." Like,
well, I mean, Black Panther wasn't really popular, so I mean,
Oh yeah, like, what? And then like Spider-Man is delayed. Like Sony put a lot of money in Square-Enix's pockets for one character, for their character to be in the game, and we still don't have that character. It's been months.
And it's going to be more months because they said later this year. Now they didn't even give a date.
Yeah, this is terrible management, terrible production. It's just like when I went back and I watched the reveal trailer because I needed to do it for one of the pieces. I kind of felt like they knew that this was a problem. They knew that this was a problem game, and they just had to, there's the guy on the side of the stage with the gun pointed at him saying, "Say the lines," and like they had to, like, it just. Everything around this game is it's not great. Save data to the side, however the hell that works. Yeah. It's a failing game, which is sad because these are great characters. The story I loved. I actually thought the story was probably the best part of the whole game, but everything else in between just felt so shallow.
Okay.
It just they threw whatever bullshit that Destiny has and Anthem had, and they're just like, let's see if it works. And it didn't. Yeah. It didn't work. There's no reason to go back to play this game. And then the Wakanda expansion, they're going to charge people for that. You know it. It's going to be a $20 thing, and I'm going to have to play it, which bothers me. So
yeah, we're gonna have to see all that one. Dan, before I let you go here, hold on. Mo's in the house. What's up? Our brother from Backlog Chronicles. Backlog Chronicles. What's up, fam? Hope you guys have a fantastic show. I need Dan's zero tolerance for bullshit and his sarcasm back on Twitter to spice up my boring life, which, by the way, has been echoed by Elu and echoed by Matt. So Dan, get your shit together.
Yeah, maybe Twitter needs to get their shit together. Stop being stupid.
But thank you, Mo. Appreciate it, brother. Dan, Avengers, man.
Yeah, it's literally sitting over here on my screen as we speak.
Okay.
So I decided to get back into it. I
remember how much you played it.
I finished the single player.
Okay.
Basically, it's such a it's not even like Anthem, where the core experience was and mechanics were really, really good. They're okay, but they never go into detail about how leveling up, and it's like Steve said, it's just very, very shallow as far as that goes. And when you play games like The Division, and other games as a service games, you see it a lot more. I think that's really my problem. The IP is so big, and I don't know how you take an IP like the Avengers and maybe they thought, we don't have to do much. Well, yeah, that's about what they did. And we'll let the characters, carry the. No, you still actually have to make a game. You've got to do something. So yeah, I'm enjoying myself more this time through. The Kate Bishop Hawkeye thing screams lazy. Just super lazy to me. I don't understand that. The upgrade on PS5 looks great. It's 60 frames. It looks like it's a lot better than it was before. Okay. So fantastic. Short of that.
Sorry, Dan. Go ahead. I thought you were done.
No, that's it. I went Spider-Man. I didn't buy it on the PS5. because I wanted to buy it on the PS5. I bought it because that's where Spider-Man was going to be. So that's literally it. So I mean, this is when we get back to these exclusive deals. I'm fine with it. Just deliver. I'm putting that on Square, less so PlayStation or Sony for that. I mean, they could have put them out by now, but they're still working.
I mean, didn't they announce Hawkeye last year, right? I mean, they announced Hawkeye.
It was supposed to come out with the game.
Yeah, it was like right after release, right?
Yeah, like on release. I thought it was like that or a week after or something like that.
Yeah,
that and the initial E3 presentation teased Ant-Man.
Oh, that's right.
So I mean, he's technically in it. You just can't play as him.
He
that doesn't count.
He's in it, and he's sad because he can't do his powers anymore.
Oh God, that's boring. Shizno says you pay for the DLC character cards that are $10 each. I don't know what that means because I don't play it.
Yeah, so there's challenges in that game.
Okay.
And it's kind of like Season Pass, but instead of the Season Pass being for like, I believe, I could be wrong because I don't, you can spend money on cosmetics, by the way.
Yes.
It's up to you if you want to spend them. Typical shit. But yeah, there's like these challenge cards, and the challenge cards give you extra stuff in the game. But you have to buy them and you have to do the action, and that's not real content. That's fake content. That's the bullshit Fortnite make your own thing content. It's a piss poor excuse for saying you're doing something when you're really not.
So, yeah, that's weird. Bunch of people obviously echoing that this should have been a single player kind of story and combat game rather than all the other crap they tried to add in. I mean, we've seen it, right? I mean, Destiny became a multi-billion-dollar IP. So these other major publishers looked at games, Anthem, we always talk about. Avengers, another one where it's like, this could have been a fantastic Anthem, same thing. Fantastic BioWare single-player RPG. And you tried to add all these different mechanics. You didn't do it well, and the game died because of it. And it's just it's maddening.
There's a reason why I go back to Destiny, and I don't stick with these games. Destiny now, over the last, I'm going to say 3 years. It could be more, but over the last 3 years, Bungie has shown what they want to do creatively, and they've shown how Activision has held them back on a creative aspect because Activision cares about the money. Once again, going back into what I said earlier, Destiny has an immense amount of lore. They have an immense amount of content. The problem is you have to find it. You have to grind for it, and you have to kind of get it. But even though they also have a season pass model, there's things in that game that you can find that you can do that are really interesting, really cool, and entirely unique to this whole genre. There's weapon quests. There's weapon quests like.
Yep.
Here's an exotic weapon. Well, now you have to go through a couple of steps and get it. And
I'm actually like halfway through the Hawkeye one right now.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of interesting lore concepts, and like I'm kind of diving deep into the lore aspect, and I'm kind of blown away because how everything lines up. And I could talk for hours about this, but you have something like this that has that passion, and then you have the Avengers, which is just that cash machine.
Well, to Dan's point, especially when they announced this, Avengers might damn well have been one of the biggest IPs in the world. I mean, Endgame had just hit. I mean, broke all records, right? And everyone was talking about Avengers. It was the perfect IP to build a game off of, and that's all we got.
You just messed it up.
Yeah,
screwed it up.
Anyway, we won't stay on it, but that's the update. So. It is what it is. If you have a different thought on Avengers, let us know. But there were some other things at the Square-Enix. We're not going to recap every single game, obviously. You had Balan Wonder. I always say Wonderland. I think it's Wonder World.
Yeah.
A few other kind of indie games and stuff. So, check it out. But otherwise, let's move on real quick to some PlayStation updates. Bizzle, what's going on, buddy? So PlayStation this week had a few updates. They kind of, tried to get some jabs in as the week went on. So they had because it was just rapid fire Xbox for a while. First thing I want to talk about is the Play at Home initiative, which is fantastic. So they came out this week and they announced that basically 10 games for free. It was like 5 standard games, 4 PSVR games you can download now, I think through middle of April for free, PS Plus. And then next month, Horizon Zero Dawn, the first one, obviously, is going to be free as well, which is fantastic. I think we've talked about it before with how PS Plus has become a much more valuable service, I guess would be a good word, in that the games they're releasing and the games that you're getting with it are becoming better. And I think that's really PlayStation, at least in the short term's answer to Game Pass. So it was nice to see this Play at Home initiative, because they're good games, especially games like, oh damn, of course now I'm going to forget, but there's good games in that list.
All-Stars.
Damn it. Which got its own roadmap this week, by the way, but we're not going to spend time on it. But anyway, yeah, it was good to see this. So I don't know, anything here that really jumped out to you guys, or is it more like me where it's just like, this is cool, Yeah,
it's cool for the people who have a PlayStation 5. Like, I don't know. You know what? It's like trying to get anything right now, and just the way the market's working, it's very hard for me to get excited about new hardware.
Yeah,
because it's so impossible to get.
For anyone watching right now with us and chatting, or anyone that listens to this later, Steve has been trying to get a Series X now repeatedly for quite a while.
Yeah.
Once I got literally can't. It's been impossible. So if anyone out there who listens has a good heart and is able to actually get their hands on a Series X, who will not charge ridiculous eBay prices for them, let us know so we can hook Steve up, because he's trying to get in the ecosystem and literally has just been blocked by all the nonsense going on with the bots and stuff. So
yeah, I had 3 of them at one point.
I said it's hard to believe that you and me, Dan, had like 8 of each at launch, and now 6 months later they're even harder to get than they were at launch.
And you know what? I kind of blame Microsoft for being so awesome. Like, man, like that kind of pisses me off. Like, but I'm not going to go into it. But yeah, it's hard to get anything these days. So it's very hard for me to be super excited about PSVR 2, just because it's going to be hard to get. And I'm just going to lay my expectations really low on this. I still have the first PlayStation VR and the 12 dongles that Sony sent me for some reason. And yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, so Play at Home, and then, yeah, you just mentioned it, but PSVR 2. They came out this week, showed the controllers. They're what we thought. They're more like the modern kind of PC VR headsets where they're wireless. As we also talked about previously, the DualSense technology that they developed is feeding over into PSVR 2 because they have haptics. And what did they say? Haptics, adaptive triggers, and touch detection, as well as a sensor on the bottom of them, which is how I guess it remotely senses to the PSVR 2 headset. So pretty cool. Good to see that the handsets are wireless, and they're much, much more advanced than the Move controllers, which are like 10 years old at this point.
PS3 stuff.
Yeah. So the big question now is, personally, being a little selfish here, I'd like to be invested in PSVR 2 or next gen, whatever the hell they call it. If they go higher end with it, I really hope they go higher end, even if it's an extra $100 or whatever, at launch for the unit itself. But Dan, I know you and I bought the PSVR 1. You say you have it too, Steve?
I have the VR 1, yeah.
Okay, so we all do. So I bought it when they had that $200 deal with Moss and Astrobot. Yeah, I think many people did. That's when their numbers like doubled. But I got to be honest with you, I never touched the damn thing. And I don't know if that's because it's a pain in the ass to set up. I know that's part of it. But I also know that the experience, while it has some cool experiences, it's really not that full VR experience like the Half-Life Alyxes of the world that I've talked to many people about that I want to experience. That'll make me put the extra effort in to do it. So where are you guys on that? Are you going to automatically invest in PSVR 2, or is it more similar to me where it's like only if it hits kind of that higher end, kind of more critical platform? I don't know the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, after seeing what the Quest 2 can do, 100%. If they can make it that good, it's night and day difference, man. I mean, I couldn't. That's
the problem, right?
I sat there and I was like, oh man, this, when we first got the VR, I was like, this is really cool, and then there were a bunch of games that came out. I still play it. Blood and Truth was a super fun game. Beat Saber was humongous when it came out, and I think that, got a lot of people, going into it. And they need to put some games up with it, because that's really the problem with VR as it stands. But, people, I look at my son, like he got the Quest 2,
and
he plays this one game called like Sword and Sorcery.
Or you said he plays it like religiously, right?
Constantly. Like, and all it is you and these guys like coming in waves, like a horde mode. Okay. And there's a rack of weapons, you pick one and you just sit there and you ragdoll these guys or chop their, it's so basic, but it's hilarious to watch. So in games like that, I could get into and dig if, I could sit down and do it. That's another thing. I need a sit down version because I still play like Squadrons and stuff. That's always fun in VR. But they need the software to kind of come with the hardware. That's the biggest thing. The Medal of Honor I've been wanting to try out in Half-Life Alyx and all that stuff. Those are all
Valor, I think it's called, right? Medal of Honor Valor. Yeah.
So hopefully, that's what we kind of need to see. For me, anyway. It has to be. They have to provide those experiences.
Yeah, 100%. So hold on one second, Steve. I missed a whole bunch of comments. So it looks like a bunch of people in the comments, same problem, Steve. Doten says, been trying to get a Series X since launch, refuse to pay $1,000 for one. Yeah, I get you. Scalpers all over the place. Even Gaming Gentleman said, want to really get my hands on the new Xbox headset, but the stock is sold out everywhere. I didn't realize that. In fact, Dan's review is up. Mine's sitting right here. I got it. So I tried to use it with Master Chief Collection stream the other night, but I had some setting wrong, so it screwed up. But Dan's been using it. He's got the review up on our YouTube channel of it. So really nice headset for the money, for sure. Vogel says same thing. Can't get Xbox Series X, won't be until holiday. It's just, it's really really frustrating for people right now. And I would have thought that production issues would start to kind of resolve by about now, but we're still not seeing it. Maybe by summer when the vaccinations are kind of a lot more widespread. But one more thing, Joshua, good to see you, man. Outriders on April 1st for Game Pass Ultimate. Let's fucking go. So you came in a little late, Josh. We're excited as well, but we talked about that pretty extensively just a bit ago. So if you're catching us now, go back, watch the first half of the show, and you can cheer on with us. Anyway, Steve, PSVR 2. Have you experienced any VR other than PSVR?
I haven't. Okay. I've been wanting to.
Like Dan said, and I've heard from millions others, it's like once you experience what we would call true VR, PSVR feels like a toy almost.
I can see like Carl talks about VR.
Carl. Yeah, exactly.
Steal from his daughter. Or pay so he could use it. Amazing to me. But like he talks about Half-Life Alyx a lot. And I'm like, man, I really want to play that. And like I don't really have much to say about VR because my VR is so limited. But there's a lot of titles out there that people are like, you have to play the Batman game. You have to play Astrobot, I did play Astrobot. That was amazing on VR. Yep. I thought it was crazy good. But then there's other titles that like I played Borderlands 2 on VR, and I was like, no, can't do that. But I feel like it's weird with VR because it's a chicken or the egg situation. Like, what came first? Is it the price is too high that the normal consumer won't buy it? Or is it like just because it's so ridiculous and kind of a weird concept that goes against the grain that people don't want to buy it? Like, what is it that people like? And I think like having it set at $200 is really nice, but then you got people going like, why is it only $200?
You're exactly right. And I don't know the statistics, but there is that prevailing kind of consumer research around higher end products, right? Apple obviously kind of was the big player there for many years, still is in a way. And Microsoft's dabbled in it too with some of their Surfaces and stuff. But the thought process is the consumer that is going to buy X product is either an early adopter or someone who spends a lot of money on tech. Therefore, they want the higher quality. Therefore, it's okay to price it higher. And that's kind of what I'm asking, right? We know that how many years has it been? 4 years, 5 years? PSVR has been out, something like that, right? Even after all that time, they're not even at 3 million units, despite PS4 being 100 and damn near 20 million worldwide, right? So if it's only the people like us that buy a bunch of this crap, right? And that we're the ones buying it, then by all means make it a better unit at a slightly higher price because we're the ones who are going to pay it. It's not your mom walking into a GameStop, looking for a game for little Johnny that's buying PSVR.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, like, who do you acclimate yourself to? And I think that by going the higher route to give the better experience, there's another reason why Apple got big as well, and it's because of that user base. The people who line up every single time there's a new phone, you might laugh at them, but those are the people who are buying the tech because they want it for themselves. They want it because they want to be the first person to experience it. And then it is also a well-known fact that when someone who doesn't buy that item interacts with someone who does have it, they are more likely to buy it themselves because someone else had something good to say about it. That's just a straight fact.
It's a social media age too. Even if you don't know the person, the fear of missing out and the discussion that automatically generates about that product.
Yeah, it's pivotal for these companies to have these items that are really good in quality while also maintaining a decent price for people.
Yeah,
because you can break out into the market and get people who would never buy VR to buy VR, but you really need to hit hard on the people who are going to buy it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Sony should concentrate on. Like you said, they need to go for the people who are definitely going to buy it first and have no problem with a $600 price tag, because I can't see it being any cheaper than that.
Hey, so what's up? Look, we mentioned VR and it like summoned Asa. I shouldn't have. I'm going to mention VR every week from now on, Asa. So,
but here's where the pendulum swings the other way now, is that you have rumors of Microsoft starting their own VR headset, even though they've not been open about it. So the question goes to you. Do you think it's possible that Microsoft will present their own competitor?
No, I don't. So personally, no. So one thing I want to touch on, because Dan touched on it as well, and it goes to your point. Everything that we just talked about around the headset being more expensive, going for the core consumers like us, to validate that purchase and make it a continual conversation thing into the future. Dan's point was, I believe, Dan, that they need to invest more in the actual software on the platform, because we've seen Sony invest in PSVR software. However, you don't see their AAA studios working on PSVR. And so as PlayStation continues to grow, I think if they're going to be serious with PSVR 2, you've got to invest in the software. Either you've got to get the third parties who are making incredible VR software already on board with PSVR and let them into that ecosystem if they're PC only today, or you've got to dedicate some of your top tier developers to make software that makes people want to buy it. Because there's no game on PSVR, and maybe there's no game anywhere else in VR, but like a Half-Life Alyx. People are buying headsets to play Half-Life Alyx. Now, if you had Naughty Dog or Sony Santa Monica or whatever build this AAA VR game, you could create a game where people are like, holy shit, I got to play that. You know what I mean? And you can only play it on PSVR. Then you've got a conversation point.
And I think that's where Sony's at that standstill. It's like, do we keep Naughty Dog from like making a VR game? But they also don't give them the chance to make one. So
that's what I mean. Yeah, you've got to grow. You've got to invest in it somehow.
Yeah. You have to invest in it somehow. You have to have the balance work out, because Naughty Dog also takes years to make a single game. So,
yeah,
and there's good reason behind it. But it's like, do you pull away from making The Last of Us 3, or do you have them make a VR game?
You got to do both.
Yeah. It's a big thing.
Yeah. So good point here. Insomniac made some of the best Oculus games. There you go. I knew Asa would know. See, I know he's invested big into VR. Now to your other point about Xbox. So I'm only going on what has been said, because I know Phil has been asked that question a few times, and he may obviously just be holding out until they build their own. But the thing he said previously on this, which I think makes the most sense, and I do believe it personally, is that the Xbox ecosystem obviously now runs on Windows, right? Series X runs on a version of Windows 10. And you already have all these other third-party companies making VR headsets for Windows-based PCs, right? So to him, it was like, if we move into the VR space, what we're more likely to do is allow that software that already works in their PC ecosystem today on Xbox, and then you just buy the headset that you want to play on your Series X. That way you already go from 0 options to, say, I'm just going to make up a number, say 5, rather than having to buy a specific Xbox VR headset, which would cost them hundreds of millions of dollars of development time and effort, right? Yeah. So why would you go out and develop your own, which they may make mistakes on? You're locked into a specific headset then, when you can just open the ecosystem up to people that are already doing it better. So if Series X gets VR, that's the direction I think they'll go. Personally.
I didn't even hear about that whole part. I'll be honest.
Oh yeah, he said that last year in an interview when someone asked him about VR. He said, I don't see us moving into a dedicated VR space when exactly what I just said, when there's already third-party companies on PC, on Windows, making great products. That's the direction we're likely to go. And in this case, I believe them.
It makes sense because people are now hacking the Series S to pretty much run as a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah,
so
which is awesome, by the way. Yeah, which is awesome. Did you see the guy running Metroid Prime in 4K?
No,
the GameCube Metroid Prime. He had a Series X running Metroid Prime in 4K. I was like, this is amazing.
I gotta look at that. Oh yeah. Man.
Anyway, Dan, anything else to add there, man?
Nope.
All right, sir. One more note on PlayStation is, it kind of went by the wayside because it came late. It was like not even a big announcement, but that PlayStation acquired Evo. If you don't know what Evo is, it's the biggest fighting game championship in the world. It is a big esports event. And they acquired basically that entire structure of Evo, which was weird, but it happened. It's back this year, by the way, August 6th to 8th and 13th to 15th. And I just wanted to bring this up because, esports are another area of gaming that are growing year over year. I think the pandemic impacted that a little bit with live events, obviously, but regardless, it's something that continues to grow. Looking back at Evo, they were growing at a rate of about 25% year over year. So if you look at 2017 to 18 to 19, they're growing about 25% year over year. So this is kind of interesting. Because PlayStation was already a big supporter here. The console games that were in the tournament were run on PlayStations. And remember that Street Fighter 5 was exclusive to PlayStation previously, right? So they were already kind of big in this regard. But I don't know. This is an interesting play. I don't really know what to think of this because I don't, of all the things I kind of research on gaming, Evo and the fighting game championship's not one of the big ones. So, but this was interesting, if nothing else.
I think Urban Khan, one of the he's out there. I can't remember which. He's a journalist, but I can't remember from where. I think he said it best is that Sony gave the card to someone, and when the guy came back to give the card back, they're like, "Oh, who'd you buy? Oh, Evo," and you're like, "What?" That was the purchase you made?
Did you see Jeff Grubb where he's like Jim Ryan was yelling out the doors, just buy something, anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a crazy big fighter gamer. So cool.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
I guess we'll see what comes of this. It's the only thing to really say. Yeah. Because I know, Dan, you probably don't have a lot to add here.
No, I didn't even know what Evo was until literally it was on there. I was like, what is Evo? I didn't know they bought it.
In the Smash Brothers, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat communities, Evo is huge. I mean, Evo is the biggest fighting game championship in the world every year. So, I mean, for those communities, it's a very big thing. To win Evo makes you automatically famous. One of those tournaments. So, yeah, it's a big thing. I just don't know. I don't know enough about it to talk intelligently around what the potential of this could be. And so we won't waste our time. I just wanted to mention it.
I'm just expecting more Sony flags all over the place,
Yeah,
that's it.
PlayStation banners, sponsored, run by PlayStation, whatever. Yeah, exactly. So before we get to what we're currently playing, I do have a rant today.
Go for it, man.
Yeah. It's been a while, and I want to share this because it annoyed me, which is weird because this stuff doesn't usually annoy me because I tend to be, we're going to keep politics out of this, but tend to be more progressive. I'm open-minded, whatever. So I don't know if you guys saw this. Whatever.
Progressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like me, man.
Mortal Kombat movie. When they showed it previously, they showed a guy who kind of looked like Johnny Cage, but he wasn't Johnny Cage. And people like me who love Mortal Kombat, I was talking with some others. Elu's one of them, a big Mortal Kombat fan. It's like, where's Johnny Cage? Like, he's a core Cole. Yeah. So I'm getting to it. Okay. So Johnny Cage is, if you don't know Mortal Kombat, for the listeners, he's a core character to Mortal Kombat. He's one of the 7 characters from the first game. He's a core character in the first movie or movies. He's literally one of the main characters of all of Mortal Kombat's universe. So when asked why he wasn't in the recent poster, the response was given that Johnny Cage is not in the movie at all. And the reason why he's not in the movie at all, and this, I'm not making this up because I'm about to put it on the screen if you're watching this live with us, is because he's a white male. Which is very bizarre to me. So here you go. I'm putting it up right now, and I'll read it for the listeners. The producer Todd Garner, in an interview with Inverse, explained why filmmakers decided to create a new character while removing one of the original 8. I said 7. I thought it was 7. I didn't think it was 8 to start with. Doesn't matter. That's neither here nor there. The character of Johnny Cage is an arrogant action movie star. We know he's Sonya Blade's husband, all that jazz. He said, quote, I feel like if I was getting to make a movie with a diverse cast, it felt weird to have a white actor, literally Johnny Cage, be the hero of the story. He added that these discussions took place years ago, 7 years, way before Black Lives Matter or other movements. He pushes for diversity among Hollywood. So the response instead was to create Cole Young as a character who is, let me get rid of this damn banner. I'm sorry. There you go. Who was a response to the unsavory idea of a white character being the hero who saves everyone. So now, here's why this made me mad. So allow me a second here.
I gotta mute myself.
As I said, right, all these other outrage things about diversity and progression, like, I'm on board with all that. Like, I absolutely do think it should be diverse, and I'm very conscious of these things across all these arguments that go on online. But this one really struck me weird because 2 reasons. Well, many reasons, actually. One, Mortal Kombat is already about as diverse as you can effing get. I mean, literally, we're talking about a magical realm with people from all around the world, including a different realm, that are acted as or by, and represented from people literally worldwide. Second of all, there's nothing saying the story they're writing for the movie. There's nothing saying in Mortal Kombat story that Johnny Cage has to be the hero that saves everyone. Where does that even come from? That's not even what happens in the damn game to begin with. Johnny Cage is not that person. Liu Kang is usually that person, who, by the way, if you couldn't tell, is not a white guy.
Or unsavory.
So I could go on and on about this, but why in the hell do you think removing a literal core character to Mortal Kombat because he's a white guy makes your movie any better when you already have like 20 other characters in the game, or in the movie, that can play a bigger role than Johnny Cage to begin with, who aren't white or whatever you want them to be, but you created someone who's never been in the game, and then cast an, I believe, Asian, I forget where exactly he's from, but an Asian guy to play him so that you didn't have a white Johnny Cage. I don't get it, guys. This is one of those where, like, I just don't get it.
This just kind of shows me the level of ignorance that someone can have in a sense of creativity. Like, you could just write him as he is, a joke.
That's the whole funny thing about Johnny Cage. He's literally the humor aspect of Mortal Kombat. That's what he's there for.
You could have had him get Ryan Reynolds to play him or some shit, and be done. It'd be done. There you go. You could have had him die in the first scene and just be like, okay, whatever, we got him. But like, it just kind of shows like, oh, he's the white guy, so he has to be the hero. Is that your perception on race? Like,
and that scares me because that means the producer doesn't even know the damn game that he's making a movie of, because Johnny Cage isn't the hero.
Like, I'm all down with the progressive stuff myself. It's just something like this. Just it doesn't sit right because I don't care about my own representation, quote unquote. But like, it's just the excuse that you give is like, oh, because he's the hero. It's kind of like, yo, man, no, that's not how that goes.
No, you're missing it. Yeah.
It just, I don't know, man.
I was so excited for this movie. We literally have a watch party planned with some of the people in chat. We're going to all watch it, like start it at the same time on HBO Max and be in a party chat and watch it. And, I've talked about Mortal Kombat. I got a long history with that game and I love it. And I'm just like, you're doing something that you think is the right thing. And you're so far disconnected from what the actual right thing is. You don't even realize it. And in the process, you're hurting the IP, which is bizarre to me.
Like, what's his name? Who did Us? He did Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele, yes.
Great actor, great producer, great director. And he's come out and said that he's only good at big films that star black actors.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense because that's who he is. Yeah, great.
You know why? Because they're his movies, they're his IPs. It's what he wants to make. By all means, do it.
And he's related to he's relating to the concepts that are behind that fuels it. So like, that's fine, of course. Like, do it. But something like this where it's like your reasoning is wrong.
Yeah, like, exactly. It's the reasoning. That's the thing. So, but it was funny because some of us noticed this. We saw the trailer and we saw the movie poster, and I was like, the guy, what's his name? Cole. They're showing it. I'm like, I don't think that's Johnny Cage. Like, where is Johnny Cage in this? And sure enough, someone asked, and that's what he said.
Yeah.
I don't know. Dan, anything on this?
I don't even know what to say anymore. I kind of hope he just gets his own movie at this point. And then like people are like, what are you doing?
We're going to wait for the Snyder cut.
That sounds very unsavory.
Yeah, I mean, it would be because Johnny Cage, I've never played a Mortal Kombat game where I went, yeah, he's the main hero. It's always been Liu Kang.
Yeah. Johnny Cage is not the main hero. That's the point.
Like, or whoever you play as, or whatever it is, I mean, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
And Scorpion is really the face of the franchise, and then of course Sub-Zero is his antithesis, right? So, yeah, I mean, the point remains: Cage isn't even the face of the franchise. For God's sakes, his signature move is a goddamn ball punch. Like he's the joke. He's the funny guy. Like,
I mean, was Kano too many? Like, is that like we hit our limit, guys? That's the only white person, but he's Australian, so maybe that I don't understand. Listen,
that goes over better.
I'm the same way as you guys. I'm progressive as hell. It's just you get to the point where it's just like, Jesus Christ, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's too much.
And like, and this is one of those examples. Like, I don't even care anymore. You're making me not like this because you just continue to pound it into my face. I like nobody ever thought like, okay, well, Johnny Cage is in it. He's been replaced by this guy. Oh, okay, that's fine. Whatever. Like that would have been it. But you come out and say that, and then you're gonna lose half of your fucking audience because they're probably, like fucking out down there, like, I ain't gonna watch this damn game no more, or whatever it is. I just don't understand it. Just leave it out. You say Johnny Cage isn't in it. Okay. That's fine.
I wouldn't have been okay with that either, but I get the point you're making. Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like this interview was like given on the street, like they surprised him. Like,
He's
like, oh, white people are heroes.
The PR rep saw this interview and he's like, oh God, oh no.
I thought. I mean, are you sure it's not fake?
No. Inverse shared that. It's a very well known site. Yes.
Never heard of him. My God, this is where we're at, man.
By the way, at least we all agree Sub-Zero's the best. Facts.
Sure.
We know that.
Yeah.
All right. I had to get that off my chest. I saw it this morning, shared it with the group I normally talk with, and we were all like, wait a minute, what? So I had to bring that up. All right. Currently playing. I'm going to talk about Prey, so you guys let me know when I want to do this. But first, Steve, what you been up to, man?
Playing Destiny 2 a lot. Playing some WoW. I just got through The Division. on both PS5 and PC to see that. Got a new monitor, so that's my whole thing.
You got 165 hertz now, right?
Oh, dude, makes such a difference. Such a difference.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. Although it's amazing because it connects up with DisplayPort technology, so it's like it's such a weird technology compared to HDMI.
Yep.
Because now anything HDMI besides like a really high end, nice 4K TV just looks weird or washed out to me now, and I don't know why. So I'll be playing around with that a little bit, and that's what I've been up to.
Nice, man. What what was I going to say? In Destiny 2, so I stopped playing it a few months ago now. I know they had the new season come out. You just grinding away in that? Something you're working on specifically?
I did my first Destiny 2 raid with my clan, which is great. So we did an old raid, so that's kind of what got me into the lore aspect. So I've been doing that, but chasing some exotics. I just got the Lament exotic, which is an awesome sword.
Oh yeah, I know. Is that the one with the saw on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got that. Well, you rev it up to doing
like super
it's
powerful.
So cool looking.
It's basically like a lancer sword.
Yeah. Oh man, it's a really awesome weapon, and I'm just trying to get all these exotics I've missed out on before. Trying to experience the story elements and get a little bit deeper. Because I've been going to the gym now, and I watch these lore videos, and I'm kind of like been getting more into it and stuff. So that's kind of what I've been doing.
That's awesome, man. And do you play Modern WoW or WoW Classic? And if that sounds stupid, I don't know because I don't know WoW.
No, that's not. I've been playing Retail WoW, getting ready for the new expansion stuff coming up.
Okay, is that the name it goes by? Retail WoW?
Yeah. So there's Retail and there's Classic. So that's how they differentiate.
I learned something today.
Yeah. Got it. Where like, we got the Burning Crusade coming out for Classic, which is cool. But for my classes that I like to play, it's like meh. So I'm kind of like, I'm going to hold off until.
Gotcha.
It's just, I don't have time for Classic anymore. I used to when Classic was regular, when Classic was Retail. But now I don't have time to manually find parties. I don't have time to get raid groups together.
Yeah.
You can spend 3 hours just getting a group together.
Yeah.
And that's my entire time that I get a day to play. So I'm out of it.
Gotcha. Jean-Marc says, my wife is upset that Johnny Cage is not in the movie. I don't know if that's sarcasm or not, but either way, I agree with her. Hassan, by the way, says, my name is Bife, has blown away with Destiny lore.
Yep. That's what I watch.
Cool. Very cool. Dan, what you been up to, man? I know you said a few things. You were playing Prey as well. What else has been going on?
Yeah, I mean, just the norm, I guess. I just jump around anymore. I got into Sea of Thieves yesterday. Actually, it was one of my best, and this was with Craig, one of my best voyages, I guess, that I've had in a long time. And then we got server migrated, and everything went to shit. Like really, really fast.
Oh, so you had a really good voyage. You got server migrated, and then on that new server, it was crap.
It was garbage. Yeah. So we enjoyed it while we could, and it was actually a pretty long time. I'm going to go out and say it. PvE servers, please, just put them out there. I know you've said it 100 times that you're not going to do it rare, but it literally would take nothing away from everybody else, except people would have to work to get their treasure as opposed to just use their, superior skill and kill us old guys and young people. I'm sorry. Oh, we got to go dig up treasure. That sounds like a lot of work. Can't do that. You know what? Kiss my ass. Kiss my lily white ass. Kiss it. I'm so tired of that garbage. That's the worst part. Like, I understand it's a PvE game. Totally get that. You know what? No problem. However, with that being said, what's it going to hurt? If it takes away all the PvP interaction, then you're a fucking loser anyway. That's it. Because if that's all you do and you go on there and you just grief people and steal all their shit because, and then you're like, and then you hear the stupid things over the microphone. I don't want to talk to you. All right. I have zero interest in seeing, like, I know I go full Karen on those guys and like go on to report, block, all that garbage. For whatever it is. I mean, I saw somebody 100%. Like I was watching. I was like, how are they firing that cannon so fast? I don't understand this.
I was just gonna say that both things. I didn't know if Luke was still in the chat because Luke I know plays with Joe and a couple others. I've played with them a bunch, and he says I always say thank you when old people and kids gather my treasure for.
That's exactly it. Yeah, I mean, why? I mean, it's no fun. Then go do that for somebody else. Go do it for somebody your own age. Let me enjoy my time with my slow friend that can't even put up a sale. So I just want to. I'm already like handicapping myself playing with him. So I'm trying to just put some PvE servers in. That's all I'm asking. It's
been 3 years. I know the calls for PvE have grown over time.
Yes.
What's your guys' bet they ever actually do it?
I don't think it will be as detrimental to the game as a whole.
No, that's not what I'm asking.
I know. Do I think they'll do it? I think 0% chance.
That's what Steve said too. 0. I don't think they will either. I think they've said their piece, and the game continues to grow. 3 years. I don't think they're going to do it.
They have PvE servers specifically for like Twitch streamers and stuff. They have them available, right?
Oh, do they?
I didn't know that. You can. It's for these streamers that go in and create this world, and then they can, I guess, invite people in, and for their followers or whatever. It's just I don't understand. And then they're like, okay, yeah, you can have PvE servers, but you don't get the progression as everybody else does. Like, what does my progression have to do with your progression? Except you don't get to steal my progression. That's it. All right. Because some of us degrade in age, right? We go down. Our skill set is not as good as it used to be. All right. And it's not like Sea of Thieves is like this wonderfully mechanical game. It's not. All right. It's halfway.
That's a fair point.
It's so like this when you try to hit stuff with a sword, it's so random sometimes. It's just like, where's the hitboxes on this stupid ass thing? I don't understand it. So, I mean, just give me a PvE server. I would jump in there with Luke. We could just go do whatever the hell you want to do.
Luke agrees with you. You'd be a much better asset to Luke's crew than I would, because I'm always just like standing there looking at the water. I don't know what I'm doing in that game. By the way, Walt says, Dan, that he likes Metamucil and AARP as well.
Yeah, I mean, I love it, man. I've got a box of it sitting over there.
Oh, man.
I just want, a nice peaceful time one time. That's all I want. And I was fine most of the day yesterday. We were, I kind of discovered like what the Reaper stuff is, because I hadn't even seen that before. I was like, oh, this is all great. And then all of a sudden, server migration, I'm like, uh-oh. And then I'm talking within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
There's like, you could see, it's like I had a target on my back, because I see a brigantine coming from over here. I see a sloop over here. Behind me is a freaking galleon. And I'm like, they're just bearing down on me. What did I do? How do they even know I'm here? And I was just like, man, this is where we're at. And so I just scuttled the ship, told them to go fuck themselves. And switch servers. It's so unfun. And I'm glad I hit Pirate Legend when I did.
I was going to say, you hit Legend a long time ago. You have an article from like 2019 about hitting Pirate Legend. Yeah,
I'm glad I did, because I don't think I'd have the patience.
Yeah. By the way, little update. Jean Marc said, no, he said, for real, my wife is upset that Johnny Cafe, I know what you mean, Cage is not in it, and she's praying Katana is in it. Yeah, hopefully Katana is in it. She's awesome.
Well, see, going back to that, that guy produced Paul Blart Mall Cop. I mean, he loses all credibility immediately with me. So gone. Like, I mean, sorry, Todd, or whatever the hell your name is. You know what? You did 1 and 2. You did 2.
Yeah. How do you make
2? He thought it was so good it needed a sequel.
Right. Oh. I mean, so sorry. I'm really not worried about what you have to say about,
all right,
unsavoriness.
Let's talk about Prey.
Also, Avengers. I've been playing Avengers.
Avengers. Yeah, I think we covered Avengers enough. We don't have to stay on that. Yeah. Let's talk about Prey. How good? So I've seen people being with this. Look, I'm already stumbling over my thoughts. Prey came out 2017, launched on Xbox and PS4. It was never updated for it wasn't updated for the One X at the time, only the PS4 Pro. So the Xbox One version ran pretty poor. Series X now takes the 1X resolution boost that it eventually got, and now does the FPS boost, which doubles the frame rate, locks it at 60, and it has HDR with the auto HDR. And I'm telling you, it's like a brand new freaking game. It's unbelievable, the improvement. I started a stream like a couple months ago on my PC, and my PC is a pretty powerful PC. but the controller compatibility is really screwed up on it. And so I did one episode and I'm like, I'll just come back to this later. But anyway, I bring that up because seriously, it runs better and looks better on the Series X now than my PC. And remember that the FPS boost and the auto HDR are just software. It's just Xbox software improving the game. It's not anything Bethesda did or Arcane did. So I don't know about you, Dan. I'm literally addicted to Prey again. I've been playing it every free chance I get right now. I'm already like halfway through it again from the beginning.
Yeah,
awesome.
that's probably where I'm at. I think I paused it for a minute to check out the updates and stuff, but I'm still playing probably a couple hours a day and just going back. Amazing. And it's so good. Like I'm at, gosh, I don't even know where I'm at.
I just came out of cold storage.
That's about where I'm at. Yeah, that because I got it when I got the headset and I tried it out. I was near Alex's apartment.
Arboretum.
The Arboretum, yeah. And then I remember the first thing I did, and as I went into one of those lifts, right, and like I had not adjusted anything, and the bass was so strong on those things, and like it's just like, brrr. I'm like, what in the hell did I just put my head in a tuba? So I was just like, what? That was not probably the best. First impression, but I'm a little bit farther now, obviously. So it's hard to, if you haven't played on it or seen it yet, it's hard to overstate how impressive the FPS boost and auto HDR is. It's again, for being free, you don't even have to do anything. I reinstalled Prey and it's already checked. You can go to the game compatibility. It was already checked. FPS boost, auto HDR on. You just load it up and it just works. It's freaking incredible. There's no patch. You don't download anything. It's I don't know. They're wizards over there, man. They're wizards, Harry. I don't know what they're doing, but it's amazing. Like I also went back and tried Fallout 4 because I never really got very far. I don't like the settlement building aspect of that game. That's neither here nor there. But try that. It's again looks like a brand new freaking game. It's so night and day compared to how that game ran just a couple of years ago. It's unbelievable. So any of those games that got boosted, Fallout 4, 76, Prey, what else? Skyrim. I see a lot of people playing Skyrim again for the 20th time. Check them out on the Series X or Series S because it's massively impressive. Yeah, it looks really, really good. 60 FPS is where it's at. I will ride that train until it crashes. I still feel like that's what they should have focused the mid-gen refresh. I think they went with 4K because that was the new thing.
Where TV technology was going.
Right. But, if you're there, I mean, my TV's getting to the point now where it's, it's still got 60 FPS. It's 3 years old, I think. So, yep. I mean, that is where it's at. I mean, it makes such a humongous difference. Yeah. Much more that so than resolution, I think. And yeah, that's important for sure. You don't want to drop to 480, but 1080 60.
We already talked about the Switch. Let it go.
Snyder cut, in 4:3. They've done a really good job, and not having to deal with any kind of thing. It's just they just give it to you for free. There's a toggle for it. If you don't like it for some reason, then you're a bad person. I tried Fallout 4 as well. That one I think I was less impressed with, but it still looks really, really good.
It's because Prey has that
it's Prey,
enclosed environment where it can shine more, whereas Fallout 4 is an older open world engine. But the improvement compared to what Fallout 4 was like, it's still night and day.
Oh yeah, that Fallout 4 wasn't a FPS or resolution thing. It was will this work if I walk through this door, and will my settlement explode? That was more of the thing for me. It was let's see how far I can push this before this game crashes, and that's what I did, and I did a pretty good job at it.
Yeah, I just finished a couple days ago. It's so damn good. You have a lot of freedom of choice, including accidentally killing all the NPCs I meet. Yeah, you can do that too. Walt says, I don't know where you got this. You guys are selling me on Prey. A friend of mine said it was one of the worst games he ever played, so that turned me off. You're painting a different picture. So,
if you played BioShock, System Shock 2, if you like that game, you will love this game.
It's literally, I mean, every inspiration of Prey is from those games.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, that's why I think I liked it so much, because I was like, hey, this is like a modern System Shock, but with a better story and, obviously updated stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it has so much The thing that's really impressing me, by the way, Walt, I don't know who that friend is, but remove him from your life. You don't need the thing that I think really impressed me to that point, Dan, is, BioShock 1 is on the pedestal. It's legendary. Right. It's never coming off. It's up there for a number of reasons. But there are things in Prey that really impress me even beyond, like some of the Typhon abilities you can do and the level design on how literally I was in this, I forget the area right now, but I was like, I think I can get up there. And I got like 8 levels above the floor, right? To where I was in the insulation of the level, which allowed me to walk to an entirely different part of the space station through a door that I couldn't get through. And then I was literally up there like a sniper shooting like way down on these enemies down below me. And what's so impressive about that, right, from a game design perspective, is that entire space station that you're on, Talos, is designed like a real thing. So it's not like you're just in a room and then behind the wall is nothing, right? Literally all the insulation and the walls, and you can just kind of navigate around the space station. It's just incredible, man. It's really, really incredible. That game deserves so much more recognition than it got. And I love seeing more people experience it now because, it deserves it. So anyway, let me, do you want to touch on the Xbox headset at all? I know, Dan, your video's out there on the YouTube channel. We've got it here. I mean, do you want to give some quick comments on it? I saw.
Here's the thing. The bottom line with it is just if you are a humongous audiophile, this is not going to be the headset for you. It doesn't do anything better than like other headsets, but it does them so like above average, like everything. And the Bluetooth is insane for 33 or for $100. That's the crazy part of the whole thing. It's what you get for the price. Yeah, is the thing. You're going to find better audio in Steel Series. You're going to find better comfortability in something maybe like an Astro or something. You're going to find better mic stuff in a Lucid Sound. You're going to find all this stuff better. You're not going to find everything for this cheap ever. And so if you can get your hands on one, for sure grab it if you're an Xbox only player, because you can't play it on the PS5 or PC, either one of those. PC, right. Now, assuming if you're a PC player, you're probably going to want something a little bit more high end, but if maybe not. I mean, if you want like the top of the line stuff, this is probably not it. But if you're hurting for money, $100. It's like a no brainer.
So yeah, I was just gonna say I don't know if Matt's still in the chat, but Matt is a big audiophile, bigger than me. Guy. Gigantic audio guy, and he said the audio quality's straight audio quality, not game, but just audio quality is not the best. And I noticed right away too, because I'm an audio guy, and like when I was listening to stuff, I was like, I switched back. I had these little speakers; they're expensive speakers for my PC. Night and day, the speakers sound so much better. Yeah. But to your point, all the features it has and everything it does, especially being native too, I think that's important. And you call that out in your video. The fact that because it's Xbox, you get the Xbox accessories app, you have an equalizer right there, you have all these settings right there. Mm-hmm. It just makes it the simplicity of it, the ease of it, and everything it does for $100 is a hell of a package.
Gaming Gentleman asked how I compare it. There was zero comparison because the PS5 headset, the Pulse, was just bad. Right.
I haven't heard good things about it.
It was kind of like the mic is built in, so it's not a great mic. And the Xbox One suffers from this too, but it was flimsy to me. It was, and the audio quality just wasn't awesome. My biggest recommendation, like if you're looking for a headset, is get the Steel Series 7X. Right off the bat, that's my daily driver. You can use it with the PlayStation, even though you won't get the 3D audio necessarily. But it's a very versatile headset. So it does a lot of things really well. But if you're looking for save $50 and you're on Xbox only, then I don't know if you can do that much better for the price.
Gotcha. So. By the way, Pampa, I'm really sorry, man. I missed a super chat a while ago because I was so busy ranting about the damn Mortal Kombat thing.
Hilarious.
Now you gave a $5 super chat and said, why I let it out, Haynes. So, yes, thank you for that. And I only remember that because you just gave another super chat, you generous bastard. Can I have an SG shirt that says my head is oddly shaped? I still have a wife, so that's nice. Which
listen, I can't do a video and just not be myself. That's just
I was getting ready to publish it on the YouTube channel the other day, and I was literally sitting right here at the desk, editing it and getting ready. I was just by myself cracking up listening to Dan's review of this thing and some of your comments. So yes, definitely worth watching. Check it out. It's on our YouTube channel. And by the way, Dan is also doing a follow-up video to review it and compare it against some other headset options, because he has every headset on the planet.
Yes.
So which one specifically are you comparing it to, Dan?
I'm going to compare it to two SteelSeries. I got the SteelSeries 7X. They're a $150 headset. They released at the same time the consoles did. And I'm also going to compare it to the SteelSeries, the Arctis 7X is what it's called. And then the SteelSeries Arctis 1s. Which, if you guys remember a little bit ago, they had a couple of Cyberpunk editions of those, and they were like $110. But the base set you can get for $100 actually, or less anymore. So those are going to be the two I compare them to.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, those are the ones my sons use.
Okay.
Because they're $100.
Yeah. So look for that video later this week. A couple other things to pay attention to is my discussion with Jez from Windows Central just went up this week as well. Just a one-on-one chat. Had a really good conversation with him. It was a lot of fun. So please check that out. The feedback I've gotten on those industry perspective chats has been really positive, and I've got more lined up. So check that out. Let me know what you think. And then we launched the Good in Gaming initiative this week, which was really cool. Took kind of a bit to get that going, but that's permanent on our site now. There's some articles that are accruing, including one from Steve's already up there as well. You can check out. We actually shared a toxicity and content creation video yesterday with a panel that included some pretty big people, an Xbox MVP, and some popular streamers and stuff as well. So please check that out. But yeah, stay tuned for that. A lot more to come. And the Good in Gaming logo has been updated in our store as well. And 100% of the profit of those sales goes to our charity partners. So always appreciate that as well. All right. I think that'll wrap us up for today, gentlemen. Long conversation, but very good. Really enjoyed it. Steve, man, it's been fun having you on. We definitely won't make it a as uncommon thing anymore. You'll have to have you back sooner rather than later.
Of course. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, dude. You want to shout anything out?
I got to shout out my D&D podcast called Copper Piece. We have been running a whole assortment of different campaigns. I think right now we're in the middle of the Mad Mage thing campaign, and then after that we're going to tackle the Yawning Portal campaign. But it's going to have a twist on it compared to what the book has. So it's probably my favorite thing I've ever played in.
Awesome.
D&D wise. So I'm excited for people to get that and listen to it. So there's that.
So where can they find that?
You can find that anywhere. It's all over the place. iTunes, Spotify. You just type in Copper Piece and you'll find it.
Copper Piece. Okay. I'll make sure to add it to the show notes as well. So check it out if you love D&D. Awesome. Dan, find you here.
Yep. Check out the video.
Check out the headset video and stay tuned for the comparison video coming later this week. Anyway, that was Bitcast 146. Thank you, everyone, very much. If you enjoy it here, enjoy the show, enjoy listening, please give us a like. Please give us a sub. Share it out. It helps us, even on the audio-only areas as well. Reviews really help. So thank you so much, and take care. We'll see you next week. And as usual, I don't have the outro ready.
Yeah, why would you?
Peace, guys.